What is up, guys? On this episode of the podcast, we have Sam and Daon, and we're going to talk about a bunch of interesting stuff, so I hope you guys enjoy this episode of the podcast. All right, Sam, Daon, what's going on,
up?
guys?
How's it going?
Man, it's a wonderful day.
Glad to be back.
Yeah, it's going. This is fun. I love it. I'm glad you're back. And you brought a guest.
Exactly, yeah.
You brought a guest.
First
So-
three-person podcast.
Yeah, first one. Never done a three-person one, so we'll see how this one goes.
This is, number 4?
This is number 4. So I did you, and then I had my cousin Robbie on, and then I had Natasha on. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, and that one was pretty interesting. Yeah.
Have you been talking to anybody else that you might be able to bring up?
Yeah, I mean, there's, like I said, I do this in my house, so it's like I always want, I was like, okay, I gotta, make sure that I have people. Obviously, you're not gonna have someone questionable. Why would you? But but yeah, no, not yet, not quite. There is someone from Haley's work that he's like a history major. He went to college for history, and I thought, well, that'd be pretty interesting to have him on and talk about the history of just whatever.
Yeah.
Just like
That would definitely be interesting.
yeah. So we'll see how that goes. What have you been up to? What do you get? What's going on?
So-
last time I saw you was probably like 2 years ago, maybe. I think it was like right when I got back from Florida, right when we moved in here. You had came over with Sam and we hung out for a while.
Yeah, that was a good time. Since then, I moved to Las Vegas. Janesville to Las Vegas has been phenomenal, and now I'm back in Janesville for Christmas. And Christmas in Wisconsin is wonderful, especially when there's no snow on the ground. I mean,
Yeah,
been wonderful.
I know.
You came
move,
at the perfect time,
Oh,
man,
it's been
with
great.
this weird warm spell. Like,
Yeah. You
freaking-
can move your chair in if you need to. You don't have to. It's not like you have to be like super still. You're good. You're
Yeah.
good. You move your chair in, and
it's like 60 degrees on
I know.
Christmas.
Yeah, it's nice. I don't like. I'm not a fan of snow anyway,
So
I'm good.
And this got me really. Lately, I've been thinking a lot about climate change, honestly, and like what we can actually do about it.
Oh, shit's fucked up.
Because especially Christmas, 60 degrees, like it was almost record breaking for our area. I think I looked it up. It was like 1982. There was like a year where there was a warm Christmas.
Yeah,
it was like 60 degrees or 64 degrees or something like that.
Well, Wisconsin's
But-
that's yeah, that's funny.
I mean, Christmas Day, no snow, super warm.
I mean,
in
I'm-
Wisconsin shouldn't be the case.
I mean, I'm
you know?
I'm happy about it. I like
yeah,
it.
it's good for us, but I mean,
it's yeah. I mean, there's
for the world.
probably not good, but I like it. I mean, I'm enjoying it because I don't, I'm not a big fan of like winter, so I don't like. Well, the cold weather's not too, like I don't mind like 30, 35 degrees. Like I can handle like a little chilly weather,
That's
but
respectful.
I don't like snow. Snow's
Yeah,
I don't
no,
like the
same.
negatives. Once it gets into the negative,
For
I'm
sure.
like,
yeah.
it's doing too
No,
much.
and like I feel like I don't know if I have circulation problems or something, but all winter long, my fingers and toes are just always freezing,
Yeah, winter
and
is
just like
cold
is
weather
difficult.
is kind of.
So I definitely like the warmer weather, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like the changing of the seasons too. I mean, I feel like it makes you appreciate when you have nice weather. If you're in perfect weather all year round,
Yeah, but Wisconsin,
do
it's
you
like
appreciate it as much? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but Wisconsin's cold for 8 months out of the year.
But I
it feels
love
like.
I love Wisconsin spring, man. Late spring in Wisconsin is amazing time of year.
Yeah, it's not bad. I don't mind. I don't mind. The beginning of spring sucks 'cause it's super wet. If there is snow, it's melting and all the mud. But if you go later on in the spring, then it's pretty nice.
So what are your thoughts on climate change then?
Well, I mean, it's a problem for sure. You know what I mean? I haven't, like I said, usually I just talk off the top of my head, and I might, either I'm super right or I'm really wrong. When it comes to climate change, I don't know shit. I don't know jack shit, but I know it's an issue. I think some people, there's a lot of people, who don't, they don't think that there's a problem. You know what I mean? There is people that think that. I mean, climate change is real based on. Some people think climate change is real based on the fact that the climate changes every day, and it does.
Right.
So every day the climate is changing based on space or sun or whatever the case may be. But there's the actual changing of the northern states not getting snow and being warmer. Is there's something. I mean,
There's the global
something.
average temperature that is increasing at a much faster rate than
there has to be
history.
something there. So, but I don't know a lot about it. Like I don't know a ton about it, and I haven't done a ton of research. just because, I'm one of, you get caught up in your own life and you're like, well, I'm not, you don't think about it.
Yeah.
You don't.
You don't. Well, because it's
and the news, they don't cover it either. I mean, there's not a lot of station. There's no news. They're too busy covering other stuff that, is important to an extent. But, I think climate change is a pretty important thing.
It's a crisis. It is seriously a crisis because we're only in the very, very early stages of it. But and so I think that's why people don't care about it as much and they don't think about it, is because there's not any problems that are evident in day-to-day life that are really there yet.
Well, that's why people don't pay attention to it.
If it's not a problem for you personally, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't
for most people.
Well, that's how it is.
The way it is.
I'm guilty of it too. I'm guilty of it too. I just I wake up, I do, I go to work.
People are just living their lives and focused on their day-to-day lives.
But the children.
Right.
The children.
Well, not even children. No, because it's going to be in our lifetime. It's going to be in the next 10, 15, 20 years is where we're really going to start seeing the effects of it, because the issue is that it's a vicious cycle, and there's a positive feedback loop when it comes to increasing the global temperature and the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Because what happens is, once you warm the earth so much, there's all this permafrost, there's all these other chain reactions that happen that then release more emissions and more gases. So then it's not even just your own emissions that you're trying to curb, it's all these chain reactions that then it's a vicious cycle and you lose control of it. So we're nearing that point where once we hit 1.5 or 2 degrees warming of the global temperature, it's going to be very, very difficult to reverse any of those effects, and it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And the global temperatures could increase to 5 degrees Celsius. Increase in global temperatures would be devastating on levels you have no idea imaginable.
I don't know. We should probably use Celsius, instead of Fahrenheit, but I don't know how to read Celsius.
Yeah. So. And I mean, yeah, but
maybe it's like
Celsius it's like something like 2.5 degrees Fahrenheit is the equivalent of 1 degree Celsius, and so 0 is freezing temperature, and I think 100 is boiling temperature for Celsius.
Maybe it's like the Truman Show. Maybe we're just in this maybe we're in a globe.
Yeah.
And we're on a TV show and everybody's watching us. No.
Essentially, think about social media.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No. I mean, look, dude. Social media. That's a big. I'm on social media only. I don't do a lot on my own personal social media. I share. I don't ever write. I'm not writing posts. I don't usually ever write posts. I don't share what I'm doing. If I go on vacation, I don't share it. If you don't know that I went on, if you only know I went on vacation from social media, then we're not that close.
Yeah.
So if you know I went on vacation because you're close to me, that's different. But I share a lot of stuff. I share a lot of, Second Amendment stuff, and
information.
Not. I mean, it's some of it's information and some of it is just some of it is where the news has created a propaganda based around, gun control and based around, guns. But so I'm not a Republican, but I'll share, I like to trigger people. So,
on Facebook.
I'll post stuff that people are like, oh my God, I can't believe he posted that. Yeah. And I'm just sitting back and I'm like, man, I just do it because I think that it's funny that people are so caught up in if somebody says the word gay, if somebody says, oh, you're gay, it becomes a really huge thing. It's this big problem, and it's just a word. It really shouldn't matter that much. I get that people are gay. Okay. I understand that. But, you go back to, 2010, it just, people didn't give a shit. People care a little too much now. And I think it goes a little overboard.
Isn't that the catalyst for greatness? When people care too much, that's got to go across everything though, right? Imagine how much good is being done because of the word gay.
Well, no, I'm not.
People don't like it that are doing something to push that forward.
No, I'm all about it. I'm, look, if you're gay, you're gay. That's cool. I mean, for me, I don't care. But what I'm saying is, when I was growing up, you went to work, you came home, and you kind of minded your business, and I get it. I understand where they're coming from. We're like, look, you're saying the word gay, but gay also means happy. I mean, there's but like if I look at somebody, like for instance, say retard, okay, let's just use that, right? I don't use it, okay, I don't, but when I was a kid, I use it all the time. I would look at my friends and be like, God, you're retarded. Now, it wasn't that I was literally saying that they're the same as someone with someone who has mentally challenged capabilities, but I'm using it in a term that like you're just acting dumb.
Slang,
right? And all words are associated with the meaning that you put behind them.
Yeah. But people are just,
and I do agree that it's gone in because there's a balance,
right?
And the reaction of whether it's like the PC culture and cancel culture of like demonizing people for things that they say, where it's not, the retribution of someone just saying something like those words, and maybe their intention was just in a comedic way or whatever it is, and then they get just vilified for that, and they get fired from their jobs, they get etc. It's gone in the opposite direction, or gone a little bit too far when you try to fire somebody for saying something like that, or there has to be a balance there. I think it's still important to make sure that you are being considerate of other people's lives and their situation. You're not outwardly intentionally offending anyone purposefully, but when it comes to look, you can't be just firing people for one sentence that they said or something like that. There has to be
right. Like I'm watching the Kevin Hart thing right now on Netflix, and everybody knows back in it was like 2011, I think. Well, it might have been back in 2009. He talked about. He said, "Look, if my kid comes home and says he's gay, I'm gonna bash a desk over his. I'm gonna smash a desk or something over his head." Now, he was supposed to, I think, host it was like the Oscars or something like that, and they said, "Look, you have to apologize." I said, "I'm not gonna apologize. Like that's how I feel." And so where I come from is this. So if he doesn't want his kid to be gay, like if he feels like if he doesn't say he's not mean to a homosexual or if they use the word gay, whatever they use, if he's not mean to those people when he meets them, but he's not okay with his child being that way, then that's him. That's his feelings. So now the gay community got pissed, right? They got super mad about it. But the problem is why he can't just conform to your feelings. Like you have to like if he doesn't like homosexuals, that's his feelings. You can't make him like you just because you're gay and people like that's. And then he didn't host the he didn't. I think it was the Oscars. I'm pretty sure because it's like one of the bigger award shows. So he didn't do it because he's like, look, I'm not going to apologize for saying it. It's not that I'm like against it, but like look, I'm not, and I think he did though. I think he went on Ellen and he's like, look, it was in a comedy bit, look.
And I think that's the other thing is like bringing stuff up from the past too, because that's the other thing is like
everybody has
culture
skeletons.
shifted a lot too, and so like you bring stuff up for like you said like 2010s. I mean,
well, but see what I'm saying is I'm pro-gun.
Everything's different.
Like I'm very pro-gun. I think that I should be able to carry a firearm. I shouldn't have to do certain things. I shouldn't have to register my firearm. These are things that I believe, right? I'm pro-gun. But if I meet somebody who's against firearms, I'm not a dick, and I don't say you have to conform to the way I feel about it.
Right.
No, if you don't like firearms, then you know what? I'll respect it. If you came into my house and you said, "Hey, I'm not comfortable with your gun being loaded," I'll unload the damn thing and put it away. I'm cool with it. No big deal.
Right.
In your own house.
In my own house, I'm cool with that. I'm okay with that because I can listen. If you're gonna come into my home, you're my guest. So I'll respect you, and I'll respect your feelings.
Right.
If you don't like, if I'm a Republican and you don't want to talk about politics, and I'm the one that invited you, especially if I'm the one, then that's cool. We won't.
Yeah.
We don't have to.
Right.
And I'll respect you, and I'll listen to your views, and I'm cool with it. I have no problem with that. But that's not the way it is. See, in 2019, going into 2020, there's all these videos like people fishing, and then you get these people who are about animal rights, okay, and they're out there harassing these people who are fishing. It's like, look. You can have your feelings, and that's fine, and you can voice your feelings because that's your amendment right to do that. But you can't make people.
Yeah, I think that's where the
view and feel
the line has to be drawn is between Like, you have your own individual beliefs and thoughts, and everyone is entitled to those.
Right.
And whatever the situation is, whatever the topic is, whatever the, it doesn't matter. You shouldn't be affecting other people's lives.
Right. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like, doesn't matter what it is. If you don't agree with someone, that's fine. You just shouldn't be, trying to harass that person.
Right.
Or do anything negative to somebody else because of anything, whether it's
like, I mean, it's crazy. Like, and I said on the last podcast, I think it was, I don't know if it might not have been with you, it might have been with Robbie, but so I'm not, I don't believe in trans. I just don't. I don't believe in transgender. If you're born a man, you're a man. If you're born a woman, you're a woman. That's just that you can't change your genes. It just doesn't work that way. Biologically, you just can't change. Okay, you're born a man. Now. So for me though, I am. If somebody came up to me and was a man but became a woman, I will respect that person. I'm not going to look at them just because I don't agree with it. Okay, I'm not going to be a dick. I'll respect them. Like if my neighbor was transgender and she was out back trying to lift something, I'll go out there and help her without even having her ask me. Like I'm totally, in that because I was raised that way. Like I don't care who you are. If you respect me, I'm going to respect you back. Doesn't matter about your views. Doesn't matter about your sexuality. Doesn't matter about any of it. Of course. Now, see, like that's my views. Like I don't believe that biologically, you can't. But that's me. Somebody else might say, "Oh no, that's not true. You can do it this way," and I'll go, "Oh, okay, whatever, sure." Like, and I'll listen to it, but. But that's the way it should be. But it's not like that. Look, well, that's not, you can't do that. You can't say that you don't believe in transgender because that's a real thing. Right. But that's my feelings. That's how I feel. Like you shouldn't be able to change I am the type of person, like when it comes to politics, I do stand a little bit more to the right than I do the left. And so if somebody came to me, if there was a Democrat that ran that had this brilliant idea and it was just brilliant and I'm like, oh, wow, like they changed my mind on a bunch of stuff. It can happen. Like, I'm not saying it can't. You know what I mean? Like you can always have your mind changed, but there's a real fine line to making somebody conform to the way you feel and what you believe. Like that's not, like I was raised a Christian, and as a Christian, that's what you do. You're supposed to go out and lead people to the Lord. That's what you're supposed to do. I never did that because that's unfair of me to go out and be like, well, you have to be Christian. Like if you're not a Christian, you're going to hell. You know what I mean? Like that type of thing. And that's what's happening. And that's a big problem, man. It's a huge problem. And
you can't force people to conform to any ideology.
And that's what's happening with the younger generation. Like so I'm 30. Okay. So when I say younger, I mean like 15-year-olds. You know what I mean? Like these 14, 15-year-olds, for number one, they're just on social media. There's no face-to-face interaction. There's no, when I was a kid, I had to call somebody on the phone or, I was out playing in mud and dirt and whatever, but there's no, like they're crazy. I mean, literally, they're nuts. I mean, you see videos online about somebody saying, somebody's on campus and they have a sign and, that they support President Trump. And you have a Democrat who doesn't support him and they get physical. Like this Democrat, a liberal, a left, whatever, gets physical. And it's not all of them. You know what I mean? They make a bad name for a lot of Democrats and a lot of liberals and leftists. They do. But he gets physical just because he's holding a sign. But then if the left holds a sign that they don't support President Trump, you shouldn't be able to, intervene in that, which you shouldn't anyway, because it's your right to, free speech. So there's a crazy fine line that people are like, you have to conform to my views, to my feelings. And that's bad. That's a really scary road. It's a very scary road because if there's actual politicians that believe that, and they take away rights, then that's, you could look into the future and then next thing you know is you can't practice this religion and you can't say this and you can't say that.
But then there's the balance on the other side, which is for anyone who believes a certain way and wants to believe their own, embrace whatever their feelings are.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that we're not making them conform to the rest of us and conform to society. And so, everyone should have that equal right.
Everyone.
And I think that's been the shift is, from everyone not having equal rights and being more discriminated against for certain things. Now it started to shift the other way in a cultural sense to being overly sensitive to that.
Very much.
That doesn't mean we pull back completely. We have to make sure that we're every individual should have equal rights and equal say.
You should be able to say what you want. You should. It's the same with me. So if I support President Trump, which I'm not saying that I do, but if I support him or if I support certain things that he's trying to pass or something like that, then that's me. I support it. If somebody debates it, okay, that's fine. I understand you're debating it, but you're debating something that I'm supporting it. I'm supporting it because it's either, let's say, it's helping me or whatever the case may be. You can't. I think there's moments. There's moments where you can say, okay, I'm going to debate this person, but then there's other moments where it's like that's just the way they feel. It's just a simple feeling of. That's their view. That's their feeling. When it comes to transgender, sure, someone could change your mind. Or if it comes to the sexuality, like say you don't want your kid to be gay or homosexual, sure, maybe you could have your mind changed. But when it comes, I think, especially to I think politics is such a huge thing in 2019 compared to what it used to be, 20 years ago, 15 years ago. People are so heavy. It's like, I understand it. But if somebody has those views, you can't call them certain things just because that's their views and that's what they believe in when it comes to political. You have to. Everybody should just respect everybody. You have the right respect the left and the left respect the right.
Respect. It's a very important word. I've heard people want to be respected. I've heard that people want to be understood, and it sounds like that question is how much should we force any of that?
Yeah.
Because everybody's got their own opinion.
Everybody
comes from their own place, whether they're transgender, whether they're a frog, whether they're black, whether they're tall, whether they can do sumo wrestling or they can build, wonderful paintings.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that they can do, I think if we respect everybody for that thing, it makes our world complete.
Well, yeah.
When we force, one thing, when we, force something to be not happen or happen more, it's like we're trying to take control over what is trying to happen.
Yeah.
And in 2019, what's beautiful with social media and everybody's different perspectives, everybody gets to say what they want now. And you can hear how many different voices are out there.
Yeah.
Especially the 14 and 15-year-olds, they came up with the internet. So when they see the dirt, they go, oh, that's dirt. I don't want to walk on that and, mess up my J's. Nowadays, the kids who are growing up, they have money and they have technology and they have information that our parents got once they were like 20. They're going to have the responsibility to change a lot of things like climate change, and a lot of that thing is going to be placed upon their shoulders based on how we show them.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful time.
Yeah, it is, but
definitely.
I think it's good, but I think, not that I'm like, I don't know how old you are.
24.
24 and you're 25?
23.
You're 23. So not that I'm like way older than you guys, but like, being 30, when I look at a 15-year-old in this day and age, I think that there's, they grew up in technology, but there's a lot that they're, I think they're trying to do things. Obviously, at young ages, you got young people trying to do things and trying to make differences, and I can agree with that, but there's a lot of them that they're not making a difference. They're just putting their voice out there, but nothing happening, and they're not putting their voice out there in in a good way. What I see with a lot of the younger generation is just the conforming. They want everybody to conform with what and a lot of the younger generation, not that I'm bashing on liberals, because I'm not, but a lot of the younger generation is Democrat. I mean, they vote, they're Democratic. That's kind of, if they could vote, they probably would lean, that way. Not that all Democrats are bad, not that all liberals are bad. That's not what I'm saying. So anybody listening, don't get butthurt about it, because I sit in the middle, so I'm not like a right winger here. But a lot of them are, you know what I mean. A lot of them are, Democrat. That's kind of where they stand, and some of their views are, They're a little much, man. Like especially when it comes to the Constitution. Like I said, I'm very pro-gun. And when you start talking about gun control, it gets a little bit. It gets real. It gets real fast. It gets really fast. And I think that the younger generation, or even some of the politicians, when they talk about, actually a lot of the politicians, when they talk about gun control, don't have an idea of what they're even talking about. If you so I was raised around guns. Most of my family hunted, had guns, I fired guns. A lot of these people who talk about guns and talk about gun control, it's tough. It's a tough subject because it's not, when I look at guns and I look at gun control, and this is just one of those things that I'm talking about, but like there's not really a gun problem. Okay. When I look at it, and I own a gun, and there's certain things I think should change, with me owning a firearm. When it comes to getting your concealed carry, I think you should have to take classes and shoot with an instructor for 6 hours would be good. I didn't have to here in the state of Wisconsin. I was able to, it took, took like an hour, 2-hour class, took a test, passed it, sent in for my concealed carry, and got it in about 3 days. So I don't have a criminal record, so it was easy, them checking my background and going through my history. I don't have any crazy whatever. Mm-hmm. But when you start talking about setting up red flag laws and, things like that, that is, you're for number one, you are 100% intruding on the Second Amendment, because you're basically with a red flag, and I think Virginia has that. There's a few states that have red flag laws, but if California has it, and it's pretty crazy. So this guy called in and just recently he's like yelled at his boss, or he yelled at a friend. His friend called the cops, and then they came in and just took everything from him, took all his guns, because he was angry on the phone. You can't do that. That's very crazy.
There's more to that story, though.
Here's the thing. If somebody calls in and says, "Listen, I have guns, I'm going to come shoot you," okay, there's a difference. But what's happening is these people aren't saying that. They're just angry. They're just being angry and saying, they're just being angry people. They're not threatening anybody's lives, and they're losing their guns. That's scary. And the reason that's scary is because if the politicians say, "Here's the deal. If you get angry, we can take it from you." The reason it's scary is because I get angry all the time. So if I get angry because my TV doesn't go on the wall, but my neighbor hears me and she calls the cops, I lose my gun. There's a very thin line there. Now, if I call somebody and threaten their life, sure, maybe a police officer or somebody comes to my house and says, "Hey, you threatened somebody's life, so on and so forth." But if you're just angry, I mean, that's starting to push a thin line now when you come to freedom of speech, to where if you say the word gay, yep, you get in trouble. You're getting fined now for it. That's a very thin line.
I think it comes down to the character.
That's a thin line.
Because when you talk about the difference between, I'm just angry, or I'm using my anger plus the tool to do something about it, comes down to the character. If your character, when they come back and say, "Oh, this person was just angry," they were just angry.
Yeah.
And, they were having a conversation, they probably don't take your guns. If they say this person was angry, he was walking around his front yard with a shotgun, screaming at his wife, they're probably going to take your guns.
Well, yeah. But there's like Virginia, it's Virginia right now. So in Virginia, the governor is he's trying to just ban it. So you can't own a firearm. He's 100% trying to you can't even own one.
In the whole state?
Yeah, and what's happening is there's militias. So here's a problem. So there's militias that are being, that are being built by ex-Marines and ex-Navy SEALs and just community members, and they're invoking. There's a thing. It's like having a sanctuary, Second Amendment city. They can invoke it to where that city is a sanctuary of the Second Amendment. So you can't touch that city. You can't make them give their guns up. But the problem is the governor's like, "Well, we'll bring in the National Guard." And, and if you don't want to get rid of them, we'll just bring in the National Guard and we'll just take them, and these people aren't doing anything wrong. Okay. They're just
regular, having them around them.
Right. They're just regular community members, and there's a lot of police departments, there, and they're like, look, we're not going to make the community, like, we're not going to go out and police the community and make them give up their guns. And what's happening is they're forming militias. And see, what's really scary about this is, when you start getting that crazy, I mean, that's that's out of control. I mean, to take someone's guns because they're threatening lives or they're outside in the front yard blowing rounds off or whatever the case may be. But when you're just like, oh, I don't like guns, you can't have them. That's
force.
Oh yeah, that's like saying you don't have freedom of speech and you have to go to bed at 8:00 at night.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like some really crazy, like Hitler type. You know what I'm saying? Like that kind of a regime,
See,
crazy
if you
stuff.
Change the word crazy to forceful.
Forceful, yeah, okay.
That is really forceful.
It is very forceful.
Because I don't like this, I'm really gonna force everyone else to not like this too.
Yeah.
The more force you're like putting on other people should give you a flag that says, okay, maybe I need to worry about myself more.
But this
thing, there's three kinds of business. There's your business, there's other people's business, and then there's the universe's business.
But where I was going with the gun thing was exactly that point, was that everybody is forcing onto everybody else. That's where I was going with it, was that everybody, if I feel a certain way and Sam, you don't feel that way, well, then you're a dick and I don't like you. Instead of just like, oh, well, we can still be friends. Right. I guess we just don't agree.
Right.
Like, and there's just not, there's not enough love either. Maybe a little more love would be good.
Well, that's the thing is, I think with a lot of the issues, instead of forcing people to think a certain way or be a certain way, you have to lead them there through, more through love and through actually just showing them good ideas and just explaining good things rather than try to conversation and discussion.
We don't have a lot of that.
Exactly.
We don't have. It's a lot of fighting.
We are that.
Oh,
social media.
Well, I mean, right now,
who's in charge of the main voices?
Here's the issue with social media, though, is that there's because of the way we are on social media and the algorithms that are incorporated in them, it incentivizes people to engage with people who are like-minded.
Yeah.
And you put yourself into a bubble of people that are agreeable to your views, or on the opposite end, it promotes, and the algorithms promote engagement. And the more, if you're very passionate about something, if you're very angry about something, you're debating, you're arguing with people on Facebook, that keeps you on Facebook for a really long time so that you can see more ads. Yeah. So the more people that are engaging in those very angry debates and divisive topics, it actually, the algorithms are going to incorporate, make sure that you see that person's post the next time that you log in on Facebook. You're going to see it at the very top, because you're going to engage with that more than you would something that you like and agree with or something. So
social media is
there's some very bad. There's some very unhealthy things that come with social media and putting yourself into a bubble. I think it's all a reflection of us, though. And character. It's all a reflection of us, because social media, you choose whether it's a good thing or a bad thing for you. You choose whether it's, interacting and having discussions with people that maybe have different views with you, but you are just discussing with. Like, you can it's a place for that too. Yeah, it's a place for anything, because all it is just a combination of humans on a digital platform. So it's a reflection of human nature.
Facebook's tough. Facebook's a real tough one, especially for me. So like I said, I sit in the middle, but I lean a little bit more to the right, right in 2019. I do. But so for me, I've shared stuff before, that's, right-wing stuff, and they've took it down. Facebook's taking it down, yeah, and it wasn't against their. So I mean, everybody knows that Facebook is Mark Zuckerberg is liberal, he's Democrat. I mean, everybody knows this. This isn't something that he's hiding. He is liberal, he is Democrat. So if you ever really look on Facebook, like say Candace Owens, her stuff gets taken down all the time, but she's Republican, so she talks Republican. It's not like she's not saying anything bad,
are you sure that everything's factual? Is it based on like whether something is true or fact based?
No,
or
she'll just like say her views. Like I think she did a video, and this was months ago, probably 4 or 5 months ago.
The words being used or
but it doesn't. That's the problem with Facebook.
It's algorithms, man. It's not like people are.
Yeah, but somebody wrote. See, and this is the thing. Somebody wrote the algorithms. Right. So whoever wrote that algorithm wrote it to play out that way. And this goes back.
Control.
Right. So. I mean, whoever wrote, like, so for instance, I see, and this is, I hate Facebook. I do. I'm not a fan of it. The only reason I'm on it
really don't go
is because I have my business and I do share my CBD stuff. So, I use Instagram actually more than I use anything, which is owned by Facebook. Okay. But Instagram is different. Instagram, for some reason, their algorithm isn't as bad.
Caters to a different
So,
audience.
but with Facebook, I mean, I'll see 100 Democratic sponsored ads to 2 Republican sponsored ads. For instance, I'm using those numbers. I'm not saying that that's factual. What I'm doing is I'm giving an example at this point. Okay, so for everybody listening, it's an example. So say for every 100 ads I see of, let's say, political ads, there'll be Democratic saying vote Democrat. To 2. So the algorithm is in favor of one political side rather than the other political side.
That's going to change based on your behavior, though.
Yeah, but it doesn't, though.
It does.
See, that's the thing. Because I'm pretty, like I said, I lean a little more right. So the stuff that I like is more to the right.
Right.
I don't see stuff on the right.
That's because you're on Facebook. When you're on Facebook,
right? Yeah. So this, right? But
that's owned by Zuckerberg. The control of it, just like Fox.
We'll see. And here's the thing. And this is where, this is what I'm saying. So when you're on Facebook, let's say I like a lot of stuff about cats, right? Funny videos of cats. It's going to start showing me sponsored ads of funny videos of cats. I like a lot of right-wing stuff. And I did this. So I did this actually as a test. I spent because I don't like all right-wing stuff. You know what I mean? I don't usually. So I don't usually like any political stuff on Facebook just because I don't want it gumming up my Facebook page. But I spent 2 weeks and I just liked everything Trump, everything. And you know what it showed me? Everything Democrat. So that's weird.
But it's also all right. Yeah. But, okay.
But that's weird.
Here's the thing, though.
You can't tell me that that's normal because if I like everything cars.
No. Because think about it. You're basing this on ads.
Well, just
the ads that you're seeing, sponsored.
Well, just any
sponsored.
I mean,
anything sponsored.
Well, no, just anything that's right wing. It could be sponsored or it could be done by Candace Owens.
But what you're seeing on Facebook, you're talking about the ads that you're seeing for Democrat or sponsored posts from more Democrat posts or left-leaning promotional activities. Correct?
Right. So
is that what you're referring to?
The ads for the Democrat stuff? Well, yeah, because they're not.
You're talking about ads for Democrats.
Right. They're not people I like.
Right, you know but it's ads. It's paid for things.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is that because I don't.
So that's the thing is it could be a number of things. It could be your demographic. It could be where you're living. It could be your age. Because these promotions, it's not like when you're advertising on Facebook, you're selecting the demographics.
Well, yeah, but the
demographics,
right? But
to be a certain way. But now, and then it's getting boosted to those people.
But this is. I mean, this is done with a lot of people. I mean, Joe Rogan's done this experiment. Candace Owens has done this experiment. I mean, there's a lot of individuals who have done this experiment, and there's not. What I'm saying is the algorithm for Facebook 100% is in favor of.
I really don't think that's the case. I don't think that there's a bias towards a political view on Facebook or advertising.
So how can Candace Owens?
There's so many more variables there.
But let's just like I said, let's take Candace Owens for instance. Okay, let's take her. So she does a speech at or Ben Shapiro even. Okay, I'll just take Ben Shapiro. Everybody knows what Ben Shapiro is. You take him. He does a speech at a college, university, right? Normal speech. Everything's fine, right? There's nothing that goes against Facebook's guidelines. There's nothing. And then you take, say, a liberal, okay, somebody who is a liberal, who leans to the left, and they do a speech at a university, and Ben Shapiro's video gets taken down. So for me, when I sit back and I go, somebody says, well, there's not a bias. There is a bias, because if one video of someone talking political and there's no jargon, there's nothing against Facebook's policy. You watch, like me, watched the video, looked at their policies, nothing against, there's not one thing that's violating any Facebook policies. But then you look at the other side, and you have someone on the left. I'm just using this as this. I think this happened to Ben Shapiro, but I don't know who the left is. But there was this scenario did take place, and then you have somebody on the left who is actually disrespecting and swearing against the right. So they're actually violating Facebook's policies, but they don't take that video down. Now, you can't tell me that there's not a bias.
Because the bias is always going to be towards profit and towards money. This is a company we're talking about.
Yeah, but
so there's no incentive to demonetize or prioritize one political party over the other.
And look,
if it's right-leaning or left-leaning, if it's an ad that works and sells, they're going to put it up.
I will say, like I said, I'm not one way or the other. I mean, well, I lean a little more right now, but I'm not shitting on the left, but I'm saying that for me, it's like if I'm a CBD company, right, and I put my ad up, or I just share my stuff, which I've had stuff taken down on my own personal page, okay, when it comes to stuff that I've shared, like I shared it was
also. Hang on a second, though. You realize that one of the factors towards leading to Trump's winning of the presidency was Facebook ads.
Hey, I'm not
hyper-targeted Facebook ads.
Hey, I'm not saying that,
that was a super effective way.
I didn't vote, so I didn't follow the ads. I didn't see any of the ads.
No, this was huge because have you ever heard of Cambridge Analytica? Ever heard of that term?
I've heard of them, but when this whole thing of all this stuff going down, that was brought up, but I don't.
Okay, so they used the data of Facebook. Basically, they used to sell the data of all this data that of people's profiles, their behaviors.
Yeah.
And Cambridge Analytica combed through all this data to figure out who were what they called persuadables. So people that were most likely to be persuaded one way or the other. And so then they have this list of millions of people that were considered persuadables. And that information was used by the Trump campaign and targeted advertisements to persuadables only. Yeah. So that it had the most effective power. So there's so much more going on here. It's not, and like saying Mark Zuckerberg is left leaning. So you think he has any? You think he's in there writing algorithms? Are you kidding me? Like maybe when Facebook started, yeah, of course. But you think he's actually? No. I'm not. Like,
well, I'm sure he's not. He doesn't just let people run it. I'm sure he's still involved pretty closely with this.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, when it comes, especially when it comes to him, if you like listen to who he actually is, there's no way that guy is sitting back and letting someone else run it and him not looking over what the hell is going on.
But
there's no way.
He
screwed people over so that he could continue.
Yeah, but when it comes to like censorship of and biases towards certain things, whether it's political views or whatever else, like Facebook's agenda is their business, their motive is to make profit, and also I think then it comes down to just whatever is dangerous. I think if there's anything that is potentially more dangerous, I think that's I guess or where people are potentially hurting other people. I think that they're going to prioritize censoring something like that.
I believe that their algorithms are definitely, if I don't use the word bias, I'll just say they're not exactly they could. I don't believe they're politically correct, and I don't believe I believe when it comes to ads. So I posted something about gun control, and it was actually a really good read. You know, it wasn't saying, you know, screw everybody who hates guns. It was really just talking about, you know, guns, and it had statistics on there, actually how many people are being killed by guns, how many people use guns to kill other people, so on and so forth, and they took it down. I had it up for 2 hours.
Really?
Yep, Facebook took it down. So for me, it's really tough, because when I see something like that and I think it's something I shared, I didn't pay money to share it, I just shared it, and Facebook sends me a message, hey, can't share that, buddy. It, you know, goes against our policies. And I read this and I go and I look at their policies, and I read it and I go, there's nothing in this that's violating any part of your, and I wrote them back. I mean, I argued with these people for probably a whole day. I mean, I wasted my time on it, but I argued with them, and I'm like, look, so I sent them their own policies, you know, and I said, there's nothing in this, and there wasn't anything in there, but they took it down. Now, for me, I think
so you were actually talking with a real person.
Well, I don't know if it's a real person or not. I mean, you can't call them. It's
you're emailing back and forth.
Yeah. So what happens is when they take it down, they send me a notification, and then it sends me into like this chat area.
Okay.
And it just has like a case number on it, and it just says, because because CBD, when I first started with CBD, and I still do it now, they take them down all the time.
Yeah.
But that is violating their policies currently, because it's the cannabis. So cannabis is against, you know, if you're sharing. So unless you word it right. If you word it right and have the right pictures, you can get away with it. But I don't word it right. I'm just like, you know, go out and buy my shit type of thing. You know what I mean? But when I share those, they always take them down, but that's a paid ad. But this one, it takes you into this weird chat area, and then it's got like a little case number, and then they don't tell you why they took it down. All it says is it's violated our policies, and you go, okay, well, so what I did, usually I'm fine with it because it's CBD, and I know that it is violating their stuff.
Yeah.
But this one, I thought, this is not in any violation. This is just a statistical read of, you know, guns and so on and so forth. You know, and it was just interesting, and it's kind of the same response. So probably might not be a real person, but it's hard to get in touch with a real person with Facebook. It's very difficult. Yeah. I mean, they're so huge.
This is a big issue too, with the idea that companies are the ones in charge of this.
Yeah, I mean, it could be
that companies are censoring. That really shouldn't be the case, because I mean,
yeah, but money's everything.
Freedom of speech should be a public thing, and now you add you know, what is censored and what isn't should be under the responsibility of the, you know, people in the government.
Now, Twitter, I've heard, is pretty. They don't really.
They just banned political ads completely.
Oh, did they?
They banned political ads completely.
Oh, because I was I was watching the, you know, Joe Rogan's podcast, and they were talking about how Twitter is just like, it's like the wild wild west. You can just say whatever the hell you want. You can do. You can fuck. You can
I love Twitter. I used to hate it. I used to. I didn't hate it. I used to never. I had an account, but I never ever went on there.
I don't know how to use it. So
I didn't go on it for years and years. But earlier this year, it was because of getting into Andrew Yang's campaign and following that, and getting into that is really what sparked my interest in Twitter, and now I really love it.
There you go. Now you notice how the rules change for Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Yeah, well, I don't know who owns Twitter, but it's definitely not Facebook.
Yeah, Twitter.
Think about it like a barbershop. When you go into one barbershop, you know you can get your hair cut a certain way. You know you're going to talk about certain things.
Yeah.
You go into another barbershop, you know you're going to talk a certain way. You're going to talk about certain things. The culture that is owned by the owner normally rules. So I would necessarily agree with you in the sense that certain platforms, like a Facebook or like a Twitter or whatever it is, the owner, their character, their views, their policies, their reflection is probably going to go well over there. If you're someone who thinks the opposite way, and you're trying to like all those things in their barbershop, they're going to take you to their most passionate barber that's going to talk your ear off, and they're going to send you more stuff because they'd rather convert you than send you more of what they don't like. You know what I'm saying?
Wow, that's real good right there. That's
and
a good.
It's all about the message, the information.
Yeah.
If you own, a social media, if you own a platform, your views are going to really take fire on your platform.
Well, that's a good way to look at it. It's the same as like if there's a company, say XYZ company, and the owner is a Republican, for the most part, this is just my belief, whether it's a Democratic owner or Republican owner, their management team is going to align with their views, not other views. Not saying that on the application they're going to say, are you Republican or Democrat? I mean, maybe some do, but I'm a Republican. So, well, not a Republican, but I lean more to the right. If I was a Democrat or if I was a Republican, I feel I could read somebody, whether they're a Republican or whether they're a Democrat, just based on having a conversation with them. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I feel like and I feel like that's the way it is with Facebook. I feel like, you got Mark Zuckerberg. He is a liberal. He does lean to the left. I feel like his management team, and it trickles down into his developers and so on and so forth, that they are that way. Now, Instagram's
it's all Silicon Valley, It's
all and I mean, it's the same with California. I mean, California is, for the most part, probably got to be 80%. Liberal, 80% left. It just is. Everyone knows. I mean, California is a left-leaning state. Not everybody is left-leaning in the state, but right. I mean, for the most part.
Yeah.
So it's like
the majority is.
Yeah, the majority. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I
really wish we could just
talk about it.
Hit the restart button and not have any of this.
Yeah, but it's
black and white.
I know.
Dichotomy. Left, right, it doesn't help us at all.
Well, no, and the problem...
imagine, I was thinking about this the other day. Why even, we have a whole democratic process for electing the nominee for the party.
Yeah.
Where there's all these different ideas. Some people are more, you can peg them. If you wanted to label them, you could say, oh, this right now, I'm paying very close attention to the Democratic primaries. There's Democrats that are more moderate, more more right-leaning corporate Democrats. There's more left-leaning, Democrats. It's a spectrum, right? So you have this spectrum of ideas and candidates that you pick from. Yeah. Well, why not just have one party and have the spectrum go from one end to the other, and everyone just chooses out of that spectrum rather than having two separate parties where you have a spectrum of candidates over here and a spectrum of candidates over there. Just put them all together, and you can vote whoever you want, and anyone can run. And you just have one party.
I just say we give them all, let them all smoke a little weed, put them in an octagon, and whoever wins that fight is fucking president. Fuck it. So fuck that. We'll just cage fight.
If violence is what we're going to come to every time we need to make a decision, we're always going to have these problems.
Oh, shit. No, I've always said I don't believe in one president anyway, but...
Wait, you want there to be two?
Huh?
You want two presidents?
I believe there should just be more than one. Whether it be three, whether it be four, whether it be two, I just believe there should be more than one.
It's a council, a board.
Yeah. I just believe
that's how companies are. They have a board of directors. They don't have a they have a CEO.
When we had the recycling company, we had a board on our stuff. And if there's
probably a good reason why companies do it.
Yeah, if I made big decisions, I mean, ultimately I was the chairman of the board, so ultimately I could just make the decision, but I didn't. I didn't. I did a couple times and I fucked up and made mistakes. Yeah. And so then I didn't do that after that. And I definitely took advice.
And when you have one person, that one person can make a decision. Even if that person is informed by a group, a council, I think it is important to have one person make a decision. Because if you had three heads trying to make a decision, that might go around and around forever.
It's democratic. You have an odd number of members that vote on an issue, whether or not to do it. When it comes to having to make quick decisions, that's with our foreign policy. When it comes to wartime, you need one person able to make quick decisions.
Well, yeah, you can't have multiple because then you just got people that are just oh, should we shoot the missile? Well, I don't know if we should shoot it.
That's why, the president, really most of the president's power, he is the commander-in-chief.
Yeah.
It is a position of power for military efforts, and that's really where it should be. And then when it comes to domestic policy, there really should be more of a board or a council or something like that makes democratic decisions. What I've thought about the other day, I like to think about political systems, the actual systems that we're using on more of a macro basis. And I think the ideal system is going to be a system that aligns the incentives of the people, businesses, and the government as one group, where there isn't a distinction between, this other of the government is oppressing me, or like it's me and the government, this entity of the government, or this company and myself, where you can align the incentives and say, if every individual had influence and power, if you were able to vote on issues rather than just representatives, if you had actual power and influence in the system, you could break down this distinction between the two and say the government and us and we the people, it is all the same, because it is our initiatives as a collective that we are pushing forward. And I think that would be the system that really would progress humanity towards a really bright future.
I just think we're all aliens, man.
Aren't we?
I think we're all fucking aliens.
Yeah,
I think, when I had my cousin on here, he's like, look, man, I mean, so I believe in aliens, and I believe the aliens have, came here, obviously. Mm-hmm. I believe it's a real thing. So he says, look, these motherfuckers come here, but they never do anything. They don't fuck with us. They just come here and observe. They're just like observing. Now check this out. He goes, they're just observing. He goes, maybe they're just observing because we are them. And I'm like,
from the future.
Well, like maybe we are aliens. Maybe this is a real thing. No, I don't know, man. I don't follow a ton of political stuff. I mean, if it affects me, if it's going to affect me indirect, or affect my business.
I wanted to mention this because I realized listening to the podcast, that we had done originally when I was talking about the value added tax.
Yeah,
I actually explained that improperly. I did more research on it. I delved into it because of this question about how it's going to impact small businesses, and how that's going to be impacted. So I did more research on it, and really wrap my head around how this value added tax actually works. And the chain of taxation from manufacturer to factory, et cetera, that whole supply chain, at each point there's a tax, but then it gets refunded to that business.
That's interesting.
So it isn't a tax burden on the company. It's actually it is essentially just a consumption tax, because the final tax burden does just fall on the individual.
See, and that's where
so there isn't an impact.
Right.
There's a cash flow impact where you're allocating that money at a different point than you would normally be, but you're receiving that back dollar for dollar. There's no financial impact on a business.
Yeah. See, I haven't done any. I was gonna look that up, and I was gonna do some research on it, but I didn't do any research on it since we talked. But it's something like that now. Like if there was something like that, and it was and I knew they were gonna pass this per se, then I would start following it, because then I would know, say, okay, it's going to impact this.
Well, I mean, but otherwise, it's been passed in like most all of Europe has value added tax.
Well, I know I heard, I think
a lot of industrial countries.
Maybe you mentioned it last time we were on here that it was overseas and stuff and whatnot. But
it's gonna be here. I would hope that we implement it, because it's a great way of taxation. And then what's great about it is that you can exempt what you want, and you can change that tax to incentivize or disincentivize certain things. You can, like, the way it's implemented in most countries is that you exempt all like necessities, all the basic goods, groceries, rent, everything that's the basic goods, and then you can do a higher tax on luxury goods, so that it basically becomes whoever's people who are really wealthy and spending a ton of money, you're collecting more tax from them without having to tax their income.
Yeah, I'd have to really dive into it and read it, and like obviously I'm just like that for myself. I'd have to really. I mean, because obviously I own a business, so when it comes to anything, when it comes to tax and when it comes to business in itself, and if I think it's going to affect me, then I usually will do a lot of research on it, and if I have to reach out to somebody else who has a there's a few people I know that are in business with bigger business. I'll reach out to them and say, hey, what do you what do you make of this, or
right.
and they'll give me their advice. But I'll be honest. I mean, not a lot of people that I know are fans of any kind of tax like that. But I don't know.
Well, we gotta move towards. I think it makes so much sense to move towards a more of a consumption-based tax instead of a income-based tax.
Well, I don't. I mean, look, I think when it comes to even like federal tax, I think is when it comes to federally, like I said, I don't believe in it. I've always not believed in federal tax, but that's just my belief.
So I actually learned about something really kind of mind-blowing the other day, and it's kind of difficult to describe, but it's called the modern monetary theory. And it comes down to essentially you have the currency of the U.S., the U.S. dollar.
Yeah.
Used to be backed by gold up until 1971.
Yep.
It was taken off gold. So now there is nothing to tie the U.S. dollar to anything. It's a fiat currency.
Mm-hmm.
And how much of it is created? The dollars created are created from the federal government. Okay, the U.S. dollar is just an IOU.
It's printed from the Federal Reserve, which is not not run by the government.
Right. There's more complexity there. I understand the Federal Reserve.
It's privately owned.
Right. There's a lot that goes on there, but essentially Congress appropriates money. Okay. At the end of the day,
I could blow your mind after this.
No, I understand. I've learned about the Federal Reserve and the craziness there, but that doesn't change this idea and this concept. Congress appropriates money when they do the budget. They just passed a $1.4 trillion budget for this next fiscal year. Well, if the U.S. dollar, it's just a IOU, the only reason it has value is because we have the faith and trust that it has value. That's the only reason it has value, right? And since the government prints its own currency, essentially, and is in control of that, they collect taxes in that currency. That's the only currency that they use, right? Well, when you take tax money in, when the federal government takes tax money in, that money isn't the money that's used to pay for government spending. It's not like an individual where you have to get money in order to spend money. The federal government creates their own money. So whenever they spend money on a program, it just gets created. Right? It's not like they have a savings account.
Well, yeah.
And you can spend more than what you make. That's why you have a deficit. That's why you have a $22 trillion debt right now. Mm-hmm. But there is no limit to the amount of money that the government spends except for inflation. If the value of the U.S. dollar is stable and the same, and there's not inflation, then the federal government can legitimately spend as much money as on any program as long as there's the actual tangible resources that would be able to withstand that program. If it doesn't cause inflation, then there's no actual impact. It doesn't have to be a balanced budget. It's an interesting kind of concept, but it was kind of reassuring to me because I've always been very worried about this $22 trillion of debt we have, but that $22 trillion is all in bonds.
Well, when it comes to the Federal Reserve, so the Federal is privately owned. So the U.S. government does not own it. Congress doesn't. It's a privately owned bank, basically, that's owned by, I think it's like 7 other banks. Okay, they print our money. That's who prints the money for the U.S. government for this world. So they print the money. They print $1 and they say, we want $1.50 back. You want to know the funny part is? They don't print interest. So, okay, I want you to understand this. So if they print $1 for the U.S. and they say, here, we're going to print $100 million, but we want $200 million back. They don't print interest, but they're the only place that prints money. So even if you gave them all the money in the world, it doesn't pay the debt off that you owe to the Federal Reserve.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting. because they don't print interest.
Of course.
So they're just printing money. So basically, the U.S. government is owned by these 7 banks because they own our debt. They own it. You know,
right.
they own.
It's a weird system.
It is a weird system, and it's weird that it's privately owned. The fact that the place that prints our money, and I, I was talking about this with Mike. I said, I don't know why. Listen, this is so funny. You got a whole government, right? You got a whole U.S., whole country, and we're like, listen, what we're gonna do. Let's have this one place print our money. Let's not just buy the machines and print it ourselves.
There's actually a good reason for it.
Because they can print as much as we will ever ask.
I know, but they never print the interest. So we're always in debt.
We'll take it from others. But we'll go find more. You realize we don't stay in America.
Oh no.
We go get the tangible resource.
Well, that's why we're in other countries. I mean, it's a very simple thing.
And the other actual one of the reasons for why the Federal Reserve is not tied to the U.S. government is because of it then not being at all political. So it is outside of the system and therefore isn't influenced by who's in power.
Really?
Well, it's influenced by the 7 banks that own it.
Yeah, which report, and it's 12. There's 12 banks that actually they do report to Congress. So at the end of the day, Congress still holds the power of what money is made and printed and how much.
I'm sure they hold the power, but they don't hold this is all can be all conspiracy, but the people who hold the power in this country are the people who hold the power to the money that's being printed and the debt that's owed to them. So these motherfuckers that are printing the money and saying you owe us money, but we're not printing your debt, those motherfuckers own the government. Mm-hmm. Those are the ones that own the government. Those are the ones that are swaying decisions and swaying political agendas and swaying elections, and because they want it to go a certain way. That's just what I think. And people call me crazy, but it's like, look, if I borrow you $100 and I tell you I want $200 back, but I'm the one that's printing the money for you, you're always in debt to me. You're always going to owe me money. I own you. I own your ass now, motherfucker. I don't own you, but you know what I mean. I can control, like, I don't want you doing that. You owe me money. Remember, you know what I'm saying?
Power resides where you think it resides.
It's interesting.
If the reserve will give you $100, but they tell you owe them $200, you don't have the extra $100.
Yeah, you got to go somewhere and get it.
But you need the $100.
Yeah, you gotta. Yeah.
It's interesting. A lot of times, people, just like businesses, just like governments, will make a short-term decision to get through the day, and the long-term repercussions from it will get handled then. Mm-hmm. We talk about global warming. We've made a lot of decisions in the short term to get through the day. Long term, we're going to have to deal with global warming where, our children are going to have to deal with it too.
Yeah.
Comes back to the character thing I was talking about. If your character is there trying to do the right thing for people and you're going to give people 100 and you want them to give you 100 back, you can expect good things to happen in the middle. If you give somebody 100 and you expect 200 back, you got to expect them to create something in the middle.
Yeah.
And based on where the character starts, will tell you where the character is going to come back. They say give good things and good things will come around. Give bad things.
Yeah, business can be a fickle bitch, man. Business can be a fickle bitch. It's like me. I get a product and I get it at a price. I gotta make more on that. And the thing with business is that you can't just. Well, for me, I don't make a lot, so I don't make a lot on my end. That's just so I can sell it cheaper. But most businesses, most of them, they want 60, 70% in return. They want to see that money. So, so it's like, there's like other CBD companies. There's a real big CBD company. I'm not going to say their name, but they are an MLM company, and they get their bottles of oil for probably around $10, and they sell them for $89. So, and there's a lot that goes into it. You got your marketing and stuff, but even after all that cost, you're not only making $10 even after that end cost. You're still going to make your 50% or 40%, which is, you can. So, and that's the thing about business, especially in this day and age, when I was getting into CBD, I wanted to go through a third party company and just have them do everything for me, fill the bottles, do everything, put the labels on, all that.
Right. But
it was, after the cost, I'm like, this is, not only do I have to buy 1,000 bottles from you, which I don't want. Okay. I don't want to buy 1,000 bottles, and I can't buy 1,000 bottles of 500, 1,000, 1,500. It has to be 1,000 bottles of one.
Exactly.
1,000 or just 500.
Right.
And you're going to charge me $60 a bottle. Well, then I have to sell it for $100 to cover the cost, to cover my cost of fucking, of rent and electricity and distribution and packaging. And I mean, how are you going to do that? So it's really difficult, especially so that's why I don't do that. Yeah. I mean, my stuff isn't,
margins are thin.
Yeah. My margins are like, even mine, like I don't have big margins, but that's just because I want to sell it cheaper. But I can produce it. I produce it very cheap because I produce it myself.
Right.
You know what I mean? So because I don't use a third party to do anything, I can basically say, I can kind of set my own price.
Yeah.
But see, then you go into the realm of somebody looking at it going, well, it's only $35. Is it any good? Because they're so used to everybody selling it for $89,
sure,
or $59 or $80 or $69 or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, it's a fine
balance. Business, it's so interesting. When you think about everything, just everything doesn't matter what it is, politics, business, fighting, it doesn't matter what it is. And you actually like look at it like in like a real close, and you're like, this is weird.
Yeah,
like this is really weird. Like, why is it? Like you take fighting and you got somebody who is clearly better. He's clearly better, well-rounded, clearly better fighter, and he fights somebody who's not as well-rounded and clearly not as good, but he loses.
Yeah, and
you go, well, what? How did this even happen? And then you start looking, and then you go into their camp. Oh, well, this guy ate salads the whole time, which, he needed to add a little bit of meat to his, or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? I'm just using that as an example, but whatever it may be, you're like, oh, that 2 weeks of a mishap can cause a whole freaking domino to fall. It's really interesting to think about how something real little can really, I've done it in business.
Butterfly effect or whatever.
It is. Yeah. It's like a butterfly effect. Yeah. It's interesting. I've done it with my shit, where I'm like, I've done something and then all of a sudden it's like trickles. Yeah. And it trickles for like 6 months and I'm like, Jesus, what did I do? I just made a mistake. I don't want to do that again.
Right.
Yeah. I just bought some flour and it's good, but it's got a lot of seeds in it and it's, so you can't really, it's hard to sell, Sure. So it's like at a super discounted rate and it's just trickling. And you're like, fuck. Yeah. I don't know, man. I think the whole system is fucked.
Yeah.
Awesome. Time out. Let me have some fun with this just for a second. The system is going to be exactly how we want it to be.
Yeah.
Because think about it. If it's not the way that we want it to be, we're going to create it the way that we want it to be. So now we got to remember, it's just like when you have three brothers. You got an oldest, you got a middle, and then you got the youngest. The oldest brother has to deal with all this. Okay? But then once he leaves, he's the first one who gets to make it his own.
Yeah.
The middle brother gets to deal with less of this because the parents have already given some energy. Right? So then when he gets out, he gets to do it on his own the way that he wants. The little brother probably deals with the least amount of because they've refined the process the most. But then when he leaves, he gets to do it the way that he wants. Big brother says, the middle brother never had it like I did. Middle brother tells the little brother, you never had it like I did. And no one really gives the older brother much grace. So the older brother takes it. Middle takes a little bit less. Younger brother just gets it.
That's interesting.
And when we say that it's weird, is it weird or is it interesting?
That's interesting. I'm the youngest of my family. So I have my sister, who's the oldest, my brother, who's middle, and me, who's the youngest. And they always tell me all the time, right? They say, man, you didn't have it as hard as me. You never did. My sister says, you didn't have it as hard as me and my brother. Same scenario as what you're saying. The problem is they didn't have it like that much harder than me. Really? They say they did, but come on. When you talk to my parents, they're like, nah, it wasn't that bad. Right. Maybe it was. I wasn't alive to go, to deal with it. But if but my parents were like, they didn't have it that bad. Now I was more spoiled. I got more things than they got. I will admit that I did. Like my parents were just tired. They're like, whatever, dude. You want a fucking skateboard? We're just gonna get it. Okay. We're tired. We just raised 2 kids. Go to the fucking pipe.
Get out of here.
Just leave. Yeah, just go. Okay.
And think about it. That's what we do to our kids, the 14 and 15-year-olds.
Yeah.
We literally handed them a phone and said, leave me alone, please.
Right.
Oh, these kids are getting phones at 8 years old. I'm like, that's crazy.
And they get to learn everything. They see the left wing. They see the right wing. They see Nickelodeon.
They just look up
Super Slam.
They just look up all this shit, man. They're on YouTube looking up all this stuff, and these parents aren't putting any restrictions on these things. I got friends who are giving their kids phones and 8 years old. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Yeah. They're 8 years old, man. Like, what? You giving your kid a phone? Like, I mean, I got a phone when I was like 13. It was a flip phone. My mom said, you're getting it because we don't know where you're at. Because I went and lived with my brother for a bit because my parents lived in Orfordville and I wanted to skate every day. So my brother lived in Janesville and they're like, well, you can go live with your brother. That's fine. No big deal. But we want, you got to make sure you're still doing the stuff that you're supposed to be doing. But I mean, dude, if I looked at my dad and said, I want a phone, I was 8 years old, he'd be like, you're not getting a phone. It's not happening. I mean, you ain't getting nothing. Nothing.
Right.
You figure it out. Go get a paper route, which I had to go get. Like, I mean, it's weird. Oh yeah, dude. Today's it's. I mean, like, look, it comes with. I mean, dude, some of these kids, man. Like, we went out on Black Friday, and even like we were just out today. Like, we're out. Had to get the lights, and we're just going out. And especially now, the little holidays and New Year's and all this stuff. There's just a bunch of people out, and these kids. And I'm just like, this kid's like, I want this, and the mom's like, oh, well, just go get it. And I'm like, what is happening? Like, serious
wealth.
Like this, well, not just that, but this kid is like, I want it. And then he goes and gets it, and he just gets it. And then it becomes a big problem because then he gets older and he's like, I want it. And someone's like, you can't have this. And then he just takes it because, well, he's used to it. That's what he grew up with, right? Just, he got everything he ever wanted. Somebody says no to him. Well, now he's pissed. You don't get to say no to me. I've never, like, there was that video on Facebook of that fucking fat kid, that chunky motherfucker.
That's an emphasis in that one.
He's a chunky little shit, man. He was like, he's from like New Jersey and he has like a lisp, but this motherfucker talking to his mom. And he's like, he wanted this was like, it must have been from a while ago because I think he had like an iPhone 7 and I think the 8 was coming out or something, or maybe it was an iPhone 6 and the 7 was coming out, and he goes in the living room, he's like, Mom, I want the new phone. And she goes, well, what's wrong with yours? And he goes, well, nothing, or something like that. And she goes, and she's like, no, you're not getting it. And he screams, and he's young, he's like, looks like he's like 10 maybe or whatever, so he hasn't hit puberty. He screams like, like a girl. And he's like, then he goes outside and smashes his phone on the ground and throws it in their pool because she won't buy it for him. And he says, now you have to buy it for me because I don't have a phone. And I'm thinking, and then you start thinking in your head, you're like, if that, and I know it doesn't speak for everything, but if that is anywhere near the generation that will grow up to somewhat run this country, oh Jesus.
Well, that's at least problem solving.
Well, yeah. I mean, he did, right? He did. She said,
what's the problem?
She said, you don't get it. And he said, okay, I'm gonna fix your little, I don't get it. I'm gonna go smash this. I'm gonna go smash this shit, and then you're gonna have to get it for me, dude. If I ever did that, man, my dad would have slapped me in the back of the head, dude.
Different time, man.
Yeah, he'd have looked at me and he'd be like, go ahead and smash it. Go ahead.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead, fucking do it.
Yeah.
Do it. See what happens. I'd have smashed it. He smacked me in the back of the head, but you're grounded for life, and I'm not getting you a new phone.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think I don't know if she did or not, but she's like, you better go get that out of the pool because I'm not buying you a new phone.
Yeah.
And then he's, listen, man, nothing against people who are big. Like if you're big and you're happy with your life, great. It's super unhealthy. It's really unhealthy. But okay, this motherfucker tried to go over the pool where the steps were on the other side, and he was gonna try to climb over the pool, and she's like, "You're gonna hurt yourself." And he tried, but he couldn't get into the pool.
Was she just videotaping this?
Poor guy.
Somebody else was. I think it was one of his friends, because before the whole video started, he looked at the camera and he goes, "Watch this."
Oh.
And then it's like, okay,
showing off.
it's crazy. I mean, times are crazy, man.
Have y'all heard of the 80-20 rule? 20%
Yeah.
of the work or the people do 80% of the results.
Yeah.
And then 80% of the people or the work do 20% of the results.
Be applied to anything.
Can be applied to anything.
Yeah.
You got 10. Oh shoot! Stick with the analogy. You got 20% of the people who are really doing the best that they can to parent those kids. You know what I'm saying? They really teach them, hey, this is a phone. This is what it's capable of. This is the responsibility you have for having this type of power. There's 80% who are doing something else. I can't tell you what they're doing, but they're doing something else. But it's like when you think of your outlook on life, you're either thinking about yourself in that 80% or that 90%. And I think if we can focus on trying to be a little bit more of that 20%, did I say 80 and 90?
Yeah.
If we can focus on being in that 20%, you know what I mean? That's how we progress the needle at least a little bit. And that's how each generation keeps getting a little bit better.
Nah, fuck that. I'm going to be in the fucking, I don't know, 1%. I'm just going to beat the shit out of my kid. No, I'm just kidding. This little fucker is going to be pissed. He's going to go to school and be like, my dad beats me. And then we get child services called on me. They're going to come to my house and be like, listen, you know what? Don't come in my house. I got guns. I'm just kidding. No, I'm definitely going to be a little stricter for sure, but I don't think I'm going to be too crazy, but I'll definitely be a little stricter. Like I won't do they won't have like TVs in their room or anything like that. I'm not into that type of thing. And I'll allow them to use a tablet, but to be my tablet, and they'll be able to use it for like an hour, every other day or something. I'm going to limit it, but I'm not going to not let them use technology
because that would stunt their growth.
Right. But I want to limit, I don't want them to be like, I want them to read books and shit. You know what I mean? Like,
you can still read on
I never read books. I never read books growing up. Because I was so focused on skateboarding and doing other shit, and now I can't read books, man. I just can't focus on them. I do audiobooks. I like audiobooks is good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that, but I don't know. I definitely will limit my kids for sure, especially when it comes, even like TV time, TV time, tablet time. I want them to be creative, like, I don't know, go build a Lego house or something,
right.
So something that's like maybe a little bit more creative in the sense of like, rather than they're just on YouTube watching Snoopy or whatever it is that they're watching, or sitting in front of the TV watching a movie that mom and dad are watching. You know what I mean?
Well, understand that those things are propelling your children.
Well, they are.
Because like a kid who used to go play in the dirt and literally just smack his hands in the dirt for 4 hours because he had nothing to do, you can't tell me that's more beneficial than a kid who sits on an iPad and does nothing but surf YouTube.
I don't know, man. I don't know, man. When I was a kid, I played outside in the dirt. I mean, and I haven't worked for somebody since 2009, so.
And that's special. Imagine a kid who spent that 4 hours just engaging with people, learning things, just developing a little bit more.
Yeah,
for that amount of
I feel
time.
like there's
at the same age he could do what you've done in a quarter of.
Yeah, because that's the thing. There's success stories of children who have started businesses, and ridiculous. I mean, because there's so much wealth of information that children have access to it.
Well, and that's why I'm not going to cut it out.
There's positives and negatives.
Yeah,
and that's the thing is like. I hate like generational talk. I hate like making a statement about a generation or about any big group of people in general. It's because there's so much nuance in everything. It's like there's parents that are doing a really, really good job. There's parents that aren't doing a really good job. And that's been the case forever, and that's always going to be the case. And there's going to be certain people in one generation that think a certain way.
I mean, it's never going to change. But that's why I said I'm going to limit. I'm not going to take it away, but my kids got to have limits. You can't just be spending all your time. You got to be creative as well. And not saying you can't be creative by that type of thing.
Yeah, and that's very true. And I do feel like things like. A kid who has 1,000 different toys, but doesn't play with any of them, or or like you just buy more toys and it's exciting for like a second, and then it's just gets
well, that's why I said
stored away or something. Like I'd rather have something like Legos or like a Play-Doh or something, or make your own toys, or like be creative.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Encouraging them to be more creative and
right. And I'm not saying you can't.
Fun themselves.
I'm not saying you can't be creative, like because when it comes down to everything, like if you're an architect, most of the time, I mean, especially in today's day and age, a lot of it's done on tablets. They're drawing everything up on tablets. I mean, I'm a part-time web developer, so I sit in front of a computer a lot. Like I don't make money on this podcasting. I don't. I obviously have the CBD business, but that's a lot of that is really technologically based. I mean, I had to build a site. I had to integrate the payment system. I had to take credit cards. So I understand. I taught myself. So I didn't go to school for web development. I didn't do any of that. I just taught myself how to code stuff, and then I've had it now for 11 years. I've done it. So it's kind of like, okay, well, now I'm just used to it. 11, 12 years down the road, I just know how to do it. It's just it's like second nature. So there's definitely a good reason to have your kids having technology, but I think having them on it 15 hours a day is not, I don't think that's good. If you allow them to be a few hours on this thing, 4 hours, whatever it may be, but just, I think giving them a cell phone at like 8 years old, I wouldn't be okay with my kid having a cell phone at 8 years old. or whatnot, but them allowing them to get on my computer and, just whatever they're going to do. Obviously, honestly, with restrict, so they're not looking at.
Here's the thing though. I feel like having access to the cell phone, because think about it this way. There's plenty of adults now that didn't grow up with cell phones and social media, whatever else, but are now addicted to it and are on it 15 hours a day. And it's has negative effects on their life.
Yeah, even with adults.
Rather than because they're going to grow up and they're going to have access to whatever they want to have access to.
Sure.
I think it's better to rather than limiting and restricting, it's better to teach how to limit and
that's a good idea.
Teach human nature and teach you can focus on things that are going to be better for you or things that are going to have a negative impact on you. And
I think that's where I'm going with it. Rather than saying I'm limiting them, it's more of me telling them, listen,
teaching them
what
to value.
You don't sit on the phone for 15. There's other things in life. You have to know what the value of Facebook is, what the value of Instagram, what the value of the phone is. My kid, they're going to have chores and stuff. But the one thing that I will teach my kid is, listen, you need to learn how to make as much money as you can doing as little as you can. That to me is, and it is. It's a huge thing for me. The older generation, my dad, my mom, they all grew up with hard work. You go out, you bust your ass 40 hours a week, you make your paycheck, and then that's what you do. You make good money and you retire.
Yeah.
The way I look at it, obviously, because I am a part-time web developer and I do kind of understand, that type of thing, is that I don't want to work 40 hours a week. I want to retire when I'm 40. So I want to be able to work 15, 20 hours a week, but I want to make double what somebody who's working 40 hours a week makes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, and the thing is you can do that. It's real easy for me. So I'm starting a clothing company in the next 6 months or so, and so you can, it's not hard to do these. I mean, well, for me, it's not, because I can build the site, I can build a $20,000 site. I don't have to pay for it. So there is a little bit of, for me, it's a little easier because you don't got to pay for a website. You don't have to say, I got to pay you $20,000 to build it. I just build it myself. But that's the one thing I will teach them is, listen, you don't have to go and put steel-toed boots on and bust your ass and break your back to have a good retirement and make good money. You can do this right from your house, right on your computer. I mean, I will teach them that, but I want them to know the value of that particular thing. So it should have been worded the way that you worded it, because that's what I meant was the value of it, because I know the value.
Teaching values rather than just restricting, because you have those that common story of the whatever it is, super restrictive family grew up, kid grows up and is a super rebellious teenager, does crazy stuff just to lashes out. That's that typical story, and that's because if you're too restrictive, you're not teaching them anything, you're just teaching them to resent you and feel like they're being forced, and forceful comes out to be forceful.
It is. It does. It's literally funny because I'm literally a prime example. So my parents were very lenient. So I've never been arrested, never had handcuffs on me. I've had a couple speeding tickets. I think I've had one speeding ticket, and I've been in a couple car accidents. But I grew up where my mom said, "Here's the deal. You can go out, sure. Go ahead, do your thing. But you get arrested, I'm not coming and getting you. I'm not coming to get you. You're not coming home. You're staying there for as long as they're going to keep you there. That's where you're staying. And I'm not paying your fines. I'm not paying nothing." And I went out and I done stupid things. I did. Luckily, I never got in trouble and I never hurt anybody else, because the things that I did were very, very stupid. You're drinking and driving and dumb shit, and I'm very lucky that I didn't hurt anybody else. I didn't hurt myself. But I am a typical, I grew up great. But I didn't have those restrictions. I wasn't restricted like you at a certain age. It was well, your curfew is when you get home, but don't fuck up.
Yeah.
know your limit. And the thing is I always came home at a decent hour. Like I was like, okay, all right, I got to know. And I learned per se like that value of like, okay, I get home at midnight. I'm not going to fuck around too much. Like I don't want to do this, but I'm that example now. Like, I know there's a lot of people like when their parents restrict them, right? Don't allow them to do shit. I mean, they're just in the house. Like, oh, you can't do this. You don't get to go on the computer. You don't get to do nothing. You're just whatever. A lot of those people, they get pregnant early. I mean, some of my cousins, they got pregnant at a very young age and they were super restricted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Right. So like, I'm not saying that it's just pregnancy, but I mean, it's other things too. Like there's exactly what you were saying. Like when they're so restricted, they never experience anything. Like if my kid comes to me, he's like, listen, I smoked weed or whatever. I'm going to be like, all right, now let's talk about it. Let's figure it out. Let's try to figure this thing out. You know what I mean? I don't have an issue with marijuana, obviously. So I don't know how pissed off I would be about it just because I don't have an issue with it. Now, if he came to me and said he did, a harder drug, say heroin or anything, then I would probably be like, okay, like let's figure it out now. Let's not drag this out, or just whatever the case may be. Like if just whatever came to me and said he was gay or whatever, I'd be like, well, if that's your thing, dude.
See, I think
I don't know, man.
I've heard before they say everybody's the same from the neck down. The difference is your mind. So what you do with it is the difference.
Well, I don't know, man, because some guys
when they talk about the limitations.
Bro.
When you talk about the limitations, imagine it's like someone who's pro-gun, okay?
Yeah.
You don't want somebody forcibly taking your gun.
Sure.
Imagine a young girl who's 16 saying, you have to stay in the house. You will not have a boyfriend.
Yeah.
They do what they're going to do.
Yeah.
The difference between all of it is the character. If you teach somebody the right and the wrongs of what can happen when this happens, it doesn't matter what it is. You teach them the right character on how to think about it. They go into a situation, you got to believe in the character of your boy or your girl.
Well, yeah.
You got to believe in what you taught them.
Sure, you got to trust what, trust them what they're going to do. I mean, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, I trust my kid, You
got to put in the energy so that way you can trust them. You can't half-ass the process and expect full result.
And this is where I think that in a way, this is why I said I think that have them knowing the value of social media or them knowing the value of electronics, that they're using, this is where I think it can be hindered. Because if the parents are like, here's your deal, just take your cell phone or your tablet, go watch your movies, there's nothing actually being taught. Like, listen, it's not good if you shoot heroin, okay? That's not good. This is what happens when you shoot heroin. If you're, and that's where them having something 24 hours a day that they can just be stuck on can affect that area of, and I think that's where also is going with it is like, what you're saying, which is very intelligent and is like, look, you have to trust them because you do. If you don't trust your kid, it's a bad thing, especially if they know you don't trust them, then they're definitely going to be rebellious.
Exactly.
Because they know you don't trust them. But if you trust them, and you've shown them and you've done your best. You've done your best that you can do to try to teach this child not to do that. But I think if you shove a cell phone in their face or a tablet and just allow them to be on it all the time, then I think that can hinder you actually showing them like, look.
Yeah, I think it comes out to having those, putting in the effort and having the conversations to show them what should be valued and what shouldn't, and why, and the consequences and the negative effects and things that should be considered when it's social media or whatever else, or drugs or.
I'm gonna start my kid off young. I'm gonna start him off young. That try to get him to do something real that makes a lot of money, so Daddy don't have to go to work no more.
Yeah, you want to give him love.
Daddy don't want to go to work anymore. Dad, I just want my kid to support me. Listen, I'll live with you in your basement. Yep. Just look, don't send me to the retirement home. I'll be cool. I'll let you do what you want. Okay, you want to dress like a boy? Fine, that's cool, man. What do you want me to call you? No, I only want to have one kid anyway, so I only want a girl.
I've decided that if when the point comes, if I have children, I'm gonna adopt for sure.
I think adopting is great. I do. I think there's a lot of kids, man, that don't. And what sucks is when people do adopt, they always adopt like a super young kid. And I think if I ever adopted, I would like to adopt someone who's like 12 or like 10 or something, because they don't usually get adopted. People aren't.
Yeah.
I think that. Well, I'm not saying they don't they never, because I'm always real direct. I'm always like, oh, they never do. No, I just think that the majority is choosing a baby or someone younger.
Yeah, for sure.
So if it ever came down to where I was like, well, we got money, let's help. Let's adopt a kid. I wouldn't mind. And they're always harder. The ones that are 10 or 12 are harder because they've been in and out of foster care, so on and so forth. It is a lot.
They got stuff to work out.
They do.
They got stuff to work out for the most part.
But if you can, man, if you can do it. But yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah, I mean, it's hard for us because Haley carries hemophilia. So if we have a boy, he could be hemophilia. So.
And that's like one of the reasons why it makes more sense to me to adopt, because I mean, what you're getting.
Well, no,
like you know that you're not, because who knows what genetic mutation could occur.
Absolutely.
I'd rather give a great life to a child that I know is healthy and going to be.
And people can say that's selfish, but like for me, like I don't want a boy, so I don't want a boy. Mm-hmm. I just don't. Yeah. I take more to women. So I take more to women. I like when it.
I'm the same. Yeah.
Yeah. I was a mama's boy growing up. I take better to women. So I feel like if I have a girl, I'm going to treat that child better than if I have a boy. And that's right. So it's like, and people say, well, that's so selfish. And it's like, it's not selfish. It's not. It's just why would I say, oh, I'm going to have a boy, even though I know like I'm going to maybe treat a girl better or whatever the case may be. And it's like you're saying that you want a healthy baby, but it's like it's unfair. It's unfair for them to be like, well, that's selfish, so I should want a baby that isn't healthy. Right. Like, isn't that what everyone wants? Right. Is a healthy child?
And when there's like, if there weren't any children in the world that needed any homes,
right?
Then maybe
there's
I would,
so many.
Consider something else.
It's overloaded. There's too many. There's too many kids that don't got homes. There's not enough spaces to fill. There's just not enough spaces to fill for like when it comes to like a foster home. That's just where the kid stays with the family temporarily.
Right.
What's the it's like is it a group home? Is that what they call them? Where the kids where they all stay together and
orphanage?
Maybe something like that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like there's just not enough of them.
Yeah.
There's not and some people just don't give a shit, whatever. But yeah, no, people are all the time like, why don't you have a kid? I'm like, well, because it's like she has that chance. If we have a boy and he's hemophilia, it's just a rough life. And, it's like, well, just go get tested. And it's like, yeah, but that costs money, man.
Well, that is one thing, though, that is actually probably going to change pretty soon is that.
Well, Haley said something.
In very near future, we'll be able to you'll be able to test and know exactly what that baby is going to be genetically.
Well, she can get tested.
Get a full genetic scan. It's going to be super, super cheap. It's already basically is.
Like
but you can sequence your entire genome.
I think
not
it's
very much.
If she wants to get tested for the hemophilia, like she can get tested to find out if she will give it to a child, if she'll give it to a boy, because it can't be carried to a girl. So women are the only ones who carry it. Mm-hmm. Boys are the only one who are affected by it. Respect. I mean, there is a hemophilia for a woman, but it's not called hemophilia. It's a different name.
Sure.
But so and like her Uncle Bryce is a hemophilia, her Uncle David is, and her little brother is. You know what I mean? So her chances of giving it to a boy are like probably higher than 50%.
Right.
So and it's rough, dude. It's a shitty life. Like her brother, man, he had
what is hemophilia?
So it's like they're bleeders. So like but so like her family is their hemophilia is like if they walk too much, they'll get internally, like their inside their ankle will bleed, and then they so they have to give themselves treatments to stop that from happening. And then there's some hemophilias, like my Uncle Wayne is one, like if he gets cut, like sometimes it just doesn't stop bleeding.
Yeah,
it just continues to bleed.
Going and going.
So theirs is like her brother had he was a little younger. He's 15 now. Maybe he was 10, but he got I can't remember what it was, but he almost died. Wow. Because he had a brain. He has I don't know how many brain bleeds. I mean, I think he screamed one time and he had a brain bleed. Had to go up to. He has spent.
That is rough.
He's probably had over $5-6 million in medical bills for sure. That's been paid for by foundations, hemophilia foundations. Wow. Like that they send him his factor and everything that he has to take. But I mean, he's been in and out of UW the high majority of his life. Like he got he was with his girlfriend at Peace Park here in Janesville. And these
park well.
Yeah, these kids came over and they just like joined this birthday party, and everybody's like, yo, dude, like, so you guys don't, like, we don't know you. And they started fighting. Well, they kicked him in his head. So he went to the hospital. And unfortunately, ambulances and shit, they just don't carry stuff to help hemophilias. So, like, and when he went to Mercy, they're like, we can't treat him. Like, we don't have the factor. So, we had to go pick up the medicine from his house, take it to the hospital, and then they had to transport him to UW because he had a brain bleed.
Wow.
So it's hard.
That's scary.
It is. It's very scary. Like, her Uncle Bryce was in band, but he could only walk so long before his ankles, like her Uncle Bryce, this guy, I always say kid, but this guy, he's I think he's like 25. He was skiing and he broke his I can't remember what it was. I don't know if it was like his femur or if it was like his shin bone. I feel like it might have been his shin bone. Well, he's a hemophilia. You can't just he's on a mountain skiing, busts his fucking leg. He was so strong. He treated himself. They picked him up and took him back into the thing, and he treated himself while his leg is just busted up, and I think his bone was sticking out and shit. And then they airlifted him to the hospital to get taken care of. But it's a rough life.
Yeah.
It's a hard life. And not that I don't, not that I'm like, oh, I don't want that, but I don't want that. Why would you want to bring a kid into the world to have to live with it?
Right.
Exactly. Beauty, though. In my personal opinion, the pain and the joy is part of the life. If you didn't have the pain, the joy wouldn't feel like joy.
Well, it's not pain for me.
Respect.
Yeah, it's pain for the child.
See, in the way that I think about it, you want to be able to trust your kid to make mistakes. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah.
Going through life, you're basically just going to screw things up. I mean, there's never going to be a chance where you do everything perfect.
Yeah, but when they're hemophilia, if they could screw something up and die.
True, but you want to be able to teach your kid, even if they have a disease or illness, whatever it may be, even though something happens, you can figure it out. The person you were just talking about, leg messed up, he still knew he could take care of himself.
Well,
you want to be able to have that confidence.
But only because he had. So if he wouldn't have had his factor on him, there's a higher majority that he would have died that day if he wouldn't have had that on him. And unfortunately, the medical team there, or even the ambulance or whatever, because they couldn't haul him in an ambulance. Yeah. But they didn't have it. Nor did the helicopter. They didn't have it.
But he did.
Well, he did only because he's lived with it for so long. And in short, no, and I understand what you're saying. Like his mom, Nana, taught him, and he wears a bracelet, lets people know that he is a hemophilia. But even like her Uncle David, he was in Mexico and he was out pushing a boat, and the boat hit his kneecap and it broke his whole knee. Well, they don't have that in Mexico. They didn't have his medicine. So I think they airlifted his medicine from UW-Madison to Mexico.
Wow.
But it's moments like that. I mean, he didn't have, maybe he had a little bit. I'm not sure. I can't quite remember, but it's like he could have died. I mean, so I just, for me, it's hard. I'll be honest, if I went to a doctor and they said you have a 90% chance that your kid will be mentally challenged, unfortunately, I'm not going to have a kid. I wouldn't want to put my child through that. Not just like their pain, my pain, and also just the scrutiny of the general public in today's day and age with kids picking on other kids, especially kids that do have issues. There's a lot of it, and there's so I think adopting is fucking awesome. I think I think it's, and I don't even know if I can have kids. Like, to be honest, I've done a lot of damage skateboarding, like no bullshit. Yeah. I mean, I've bled, I've ripped my sack open. Oh God. I've pissed blood. Shit. I don't know. I've pissed blood quite a few times. Woo. And I mean, I've had baseballs down there to where I couldn't close my legs. I mean, I've had some serious. I've had trauma to my stuff. I'm
glad I didn't get into skateboarding.
so and you know what's fucked up? Is it's like the only area that ever got fucked up on me. Like, you couldn't have broke a bone.
They attacked the goods.
Yeah, like, I mean, look, it still works. It still works how it should, but I don't know if I don't know. I mean, I've never been tested, and Haley doesn't know if she can have kids either. Haley's got some definitely some uterus issues for sure, but she hasn't went in and got checked out. So I don't know. And if we can't have kids, then that's where we're going, is adoption.
Right.
See, now I do want to point out, just because there's 3 of us and I want to put this in here, I have dreamed my entire life of having these like magical children that have all these phenomenal talents and God-given gifts.
Yeah.
Like I came from, my mom's white, my dad's black, so I'm mixed. And growing up through that, I was like, so I probably got the strengths of my dad and the strengths of my mom.
Sure.
And put that together, and now I'm mixed.
Sure.
So I've always thought my whole life, I was like, man, I want to have a kid at a point where not only am I fully invested in that kid and I have the resources to give that kid the life that he's always wanted, but I want my wife to do the same thing. Like both of my parents are Marines, so I see my mom like Wonder Woman. I see my dad like Superman.
Right.
Imagine if they created a little Clark Kent, you know what I'm saying, that was also Superman.
Yeah.
Like I've always dreamed of having a kid. Now, again, in my mind, I always assume he's going to be healthy. Not only healthy, this kid's going to be like 6'5". He's going to be a track
You also
athlete.
assume a he.
I also assume that he's a he. I have always dreamed of a boy.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
There you go.
I have prayed to the Lord himself. I said, Lord, please don't give me any girls. If you're going to do anything to me, give me some boys. Because me personally, I connect with women.
Yeah.
I've gone through this life as a man.
Yeah, you.
I wanna get a little version of me and say, now, son, I'm gonna teach you the character you need to succeed. Now, when you leave here, understand everything is going to attack you. But what I'm gonna teach you while you're in here is going to help you get through anything, because so much of the pain creates the man that needs to give something to the world. I personally believe that every human is here with a gift to give to the world, and it's their responsibility to manifest that gift and give it to the world. So when I think about having children, I think of creating a gift that's going to have an impact on the rest of society. So I think of like creating the 1% of the top 20% that's going to make a difference. I want to teach that person the right and the wrong, in my view, so that way when they go on social media, they're different.
I can't have a bunch of little me's running around.
Oh, I want that. Well, I don't want a bunch, but I want at least like 1 or 2, maybe 3.
I don't even want one.
But then
one
I do
little
want to
Nate
adopt.
Jesus.
Think of how many kids, like you guys said, don't have a home, never had the care, never had the love, never had the resources to do something special. If you could have like a Bruce Wayne, he's not in all their lives. He's not. But he helps do his part to help some of them have a better life.
Yeah.
I want to be a part of that too.
Well, I don't know, man. I'm going to go, I'm going to be a dick and I'm going to say, look, I don't want to have a kid because if they're a Democrat, no, I'm just kidding.
No, I'm just that makes you a dick. I don't think that makes you a dick.
No,
that makes you special.
I just thought I just wanted to be, I just like it. Man, I'll be honest. When it comes to political, man, I like shitting on both sides.
Yeah.
I think people like a healthy sense of controversy.
Well, I just think it's funny, man, because everybody gets so triggered and I'm like, and I'm just sitting back on my couch like, motherfucker, I'm just about to watch The Office, so I'm cool, man.
People, that's the thing that it's like people get so angry, so triggered, and it's for me, like I have beliefs a certain way, but I'm just gonna have a discussion with you. I don't really care. Like I'm not gonna get offended.
It's cool, man. It is what it is. I mean, I don't know. I have pretty thick skin. I don't know. I guess I grew up with thick skin. I don't know. Like you guys got thick skin. I mean, Dan's got thick skin. Oh, shit. I used to fuck with Dan hard. He's got real thick skin. Yeah. I mean, I used to fuck with him really hard. I mean, I don't know. I just think, maybe they're not. I don't know. I just have thick skin. People can say a lot of shit to me, and I'm just like, whatever, man. It's cool. Like if that's
like your opinion, man. Whatever.
Yeah. I always talk about transgender, and then some, have people like, well, what if you're a kid? What if you have a girl and wants to be a boy? I'm like, I'll have to cross that bridge when I get there, I guess. Like I love my, I love my kid. I don't know. I probably wouldn't be able to do anything. I'd probably be like, I guess you want to be a boy. I guess you want to be a boy. Like, even though I don't agree with it, like, it's my kid. How can I not love my child? Like, I'm not, it's same with gay. A lot of people are like, what if your kid's gay? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I've never been with a man. How do I know I'm not gay?
Right? Imagine. Think of the day.
Hey, man.
Just imagine 2050. Okay, imagine 2050.
I'm going to be dead.
This kid, girl or boy, this kid is going into a life.
2050. This motherfucker says 2050. I'm like, I'm gone.
Well, it's 2020. It's 2020 right now. That's 30 more years. That's only 30 more years.
I'm not good at math, dude. Leave me alone.
It's okay. You remember talking about the aliens? You remember talking about the aliens?
Yeah.
Imagine if aliens are here on 4040. And by the time 2040.
Okay.
Imagine by the time 2050 comes around, they've had 10 years of alien civil rights.
Yeah.
Imagine your kid is now alive in 2050 with the opportunity to have an alien counterpart.
I mean, look, if that's... I mean,
is that wrong or right to mingle?
I don't know, man. That's this thing, dude.
Oh, that's an interesting point.
That's funny.
Every generation makes it so that way the next generation can move forward with more information and succeed. Your child might have to be the mayor of alien humans.
Check it out, man. If my child want to be with an alien, it's the same thing as white and black.
There you go.
It is. I mean, it's the same thing as saying a white woman with a black man or a black woman with a white man. I mean, which even in today's society is
beautiful.
To some people,
it's still beautiful.
Not to some people, not right.
I'm mixed. I'm sorry.
To me, I don't really give a fuck. My sister's married to a black man. I have, African American. I try not to say black because really, it's not black, right? I'm not white. I'm European,
right?
And they're African American. Technically, really, that's the way it is. It's not white and black. I'm not white. They're not black.
Respect.
Well, just legitimately, I mean, they're not the color of a crayon, man.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, the actual technical term is African American, but I mean, she's married to an African American. I mean, he's great. I mean, I fucking talk shit I talk shit all the time because he's a 49ers fan, but I mean, but no, I mean, it's the same thing. It's the same thing as like you saying that about the alien thing. It really is the same concept.
Yeah. The thing is,
treat people with respect.
Exactly, because the thing is, the way I think about, well, it doesn't matter who you are, what you think. The way I see it, if I were born with the exact same genetics as you and grew up in had the exact same experiences as you, I would think the exact same things as you do.
Yeah.
So everyone's opinion is just formed by their genetics and their experiences. What else is there?
It would suck. It would suck if everyone thought the same as you.
Right, but I mean, that's why people are different. It's like different genetics, different experiences.
But what's crazy is in 2019 though, it's like not a good. It's like, dude, it's good. It's so good to be different. It's so good. It's so good to be different. Mm-hmm. If everyone was the same, what the fuck would this world be?
Yeah.
Could you imagine if everyone was just the same?
Right.
Do you know how lame? You know how boring it would be? It would be so fun. No, it would be boring as fuck. You wouldn't have Donald Trump on Twitter talking shit with his fucking hair all fucking flailing in the wind and shit. Yeah. You wouldn't have Nancy Pelosi losing her teeth and shit on stand. You know what I'm saying? But you wouldn't have all these different people. You wouldn't have fucking Elon up there talking about windows don't break and then it busts and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you wouldn't have all these. If everyone was just the same, it would be boring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It would be so boring. Sure. It'd be boring as fuck. I love it when people don't agree with me.
Right.
I fucking love it.
Makes for interesting conversation.
Well, yeah, I'm like, why? Well, like, why don't you agree with me? And then they tell me, and I'm like, that's cool, man.
Rounds your perspective.
That's cool. Yeah. But I'm pretty open though.
I like to engage in actual discussions like we are here, and
well, I used to be not open, so I used to be actually pretty closed. I mean, you know that.
Yeah.
I used to be real close about a lot of stuff. Like when we used to work out, when Dan lived on County Road J.
Yeah.
I was always like, nah, fuck the board. You know how I was. Yeah.
You're just kind of like,
I was like, these motherfuckers need to go. I was like, these motherfuckers need to go back, taking all of our jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah. But as I got older, I'm like, man, I ain't doing that job anyway. Ain't no way I'm going. I'm for real. Like no bullshit. These motherfuckers, they're doing jobs that I'm never gonna do.
Oh man!
So
I think they bring a type of spice to our culture. that is delicious.
Well, Haley's Hispanic. Her dad's side of the family's Hispanic.
There you go.
Yeah, I fucking love them.
There you go.
Those motherfuckers. Right. That's my fam, man. I love those. Especially when they're cooking tamales and shit.
Oh, so that's one great thing. Think about this. We live in a world and a country where we have so much diversity and culture.
Yeah, we have a lot of
amazing. Yeah. Think about, we talk about, black, white, skin color, etc.
Yeah.
Think if human society is around 10,000, 20,000, 100,000 years from now.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to be the exact same color. There's not going to be any cultural differences.
Yeah.
In a way.
Think about it, though.
Think about global warming. Some are still going to get more sun than others.
Well, yeah, but
still going to be cold some places.
Yeah.
And they're going to have to deal with shit that other people won't have to deal with.
But I mean, think about like these independent cultures that have grown, eventually everything is going to commingle together and intermingle to a point where there isn't a distinction between one or the other, culturally or otherwise.
That's a long time.
That's a really, really long time.
Right, but I'm saying...
But eventually you're going to get to that point.
Yeah.
So that it's like, why even care about the distinctions between people?
Well, I mean, even now,
even eventually there aren't going to be.
Even like what you're saying makes sense. Even now, though, look at now. So like we've already I mean, I'm not just from France.
Right.
No, my background is German.
We're all mutts.
You know what I'm. That's what I'm saying. Like, so we've already started that whole, like everybody's like, like when you talk about Americans, I'm like, I ain't American. Well, I'm not. Like, I'm not really. I mean,
you're not American. Where were you born?
Okay.
There's heritage and nationality. There's two different things.
So, for instance, okay, sure, I'm American because I was born here, but I'm not.
Your nationality is American,
right? But that's not my background.
But American isn't a heritage,
right? Today, yeah. I mean, that's not. American isn't. I mean, American is just. Sure, I live in that country, so.
I think it's almost a culture or a philosophy. American. If you believe yourself to be American, you could have only been here for a year. But what it took to get here and flourish, in my opinion, makes you an American.
You know what I hate? Though? I hate people who do that. I hate people who come from another country and then they go, I'm American. I don't like it.
Ooh, but what is the spirit of America?
No. The reason I don't like it. Why? Let me tell you something. If I'm from Mexico and I come to America, I'm not just American.
Maybe not
I'm a Latino American.
Okay.
Because this ain't where I was. Not even that they weren't born here, but your culture, your heritage. It's like if I come from France or like I'm European American, like I'm like African. So an African American comes here and it's like a lot. There's a lot of African Americans like, no, I'm American. Why? Your ancestors are from Africa. That's a beautiful country.
Oh yeah.
Why would you cut that out? Why get rid of that and just say, "Oh, I'm just American"? No. You're African American. You're European American. You're Hispanic. Or you're Latino American. Or Mexican American.
I think it is. It does. What were we gonna say?
That's what creates America, in my opinion. Because in my opinion, you didn't get to America unless you were somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? Like when Columbus came over here, not only were there already people here.
Well, he's a dick.
True, because he exterminated not him specifically, but we exterminated everybody who was here and then said, all right, now when you come in, we're going to call you American. We don't care where you're from or what you believe, but you can be here as long as you stimulate our economy.
Right, I'm not saying, so I'm not against, like, listen, if
the different versions of culture, I think, makes America.
Well, no, I'm with it, but what I'm saying is, like, it's like if they come here and I'll call them American, I don't have a problem with it, but don't you can't forget where you come from. You can't forget that, man. You got to embrace you got to embrace where you come from.
Yeah, I think it just comes out to your personal identity, and if you care about your heritage and if you identify with it,
well,
but it's like I would never refer to myself as an Italian American.
Well, no, well,
or a Polish American.
Right,
I'm Italian Polish.
And look, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying I do.
Particularly identify with.
Well, right, and I'm guilty of it. Like I don't sit here and say, "Oh, I'm European American," right? Because I got German and so on. But I just think like I think for me it's hard. I think if I was born in Africa or if I was born in Italy and I lived there for 10 years, say I came here when I was 11. I don't know. I feel like I would want that. I would want people to know.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't born here.
That's fair.
You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna support.
You'll be proud of your heritage.
Right,
and proud of the country.
And I feel that with a lot of
like
like Mexican Americans and a lot of African Americans, it's almost like they kind of write off. They're kind of like, no, I'm not from Africa. I'm just American. And it's like, what? But that man, God, but you're not. You. And I'm not saying it's kind of hard. I guess there's a bias there. People can say there's a bias. Like, okay, well, so if you weren't born here, you can't call yourself just American. It's not what I'm saying. If you want to call yourself American, I'm totally for it. Like, that's cool, man. If you came here and you're in America, fuck it. You're American. I don't give a shit what you call yourself. But, like, maybe support that because you weren't always living in America. You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't know. It kind of adds that diversity, though. I mean, it kind of does add a little bit of diversity to know, like, I come from an African American family. I come from a Mexican American family.
Right.
Not just American, because if it's just American, well, then what? Fuck all the other cultures.
Well, and the word just, when you put the word just right in front of it, I think that really, pinpoints it to one thing. I think American is kind of an adjective almost.
Yeah.
Because America, if you think about 1779, that America is different than the America now. This America is going to be different in the year 100 years.
I mean,
and I think the cultures are shaping America. I think America is where you go when you want to bring the best you got and be accepted.
I mean, I don't disagree with you. I mean, I'm not. I think I just wish that, you know, some people would embrace it a little bit more, especially if if they weren't born here. I mean, I think now they do, but when I was a kid, they didn't. Fuck, when I was 15 years old, they didn't embrace. They weren't nothing, man. It was all about, I have to be American. I can't have anything in front of that.
But remember, back in the day, we weren't cool with people. If you were different,
I mean, I was cool.
We
with people.
pointed. Well, you were white.
I mean, I'm just
be fair.
Well, no, but
especially
I'm just saying.
European Americans.
Yeah.
You could always say, "Hey, I'm European American. I'm American. I'm European American." No one's gonna be mad at you.
Nobody
if
had
you
a
were
problem
black,
with you,
if
yeah.
you were Latina, if you were Chinese, if you were Japanese, if you were something
or the
else,
other.
you're different.
What I'm saying is, I was saying what I meant by what I said was I was cool with everybody. That's what I'm saying.
Respect.
Not. I wasn't saying like, no, I'm saying I was cool with everybody. I didn't care. Like if you said you were African American, I don't give a fuck. You know, back in the day, it didn't matter to me. I don't fucking care who the fuck you are. It doesn't mean shit. You know what I mean? I didn't really give a shit. But no, I mean, look, I think it's hard, man. There's a lot.
So, I like imagine like right now we have the distinction between, you know, someone who is from California or someone who's from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a different culture there.
Yeah, it's different. It's definitely different. I mean,
but we're all Americans, right? So imagine if
I don't know, man.
an alien planet showed up next to ours.
Yeah.
And we got into a war with this alien planet.
Okay.
And it was humans versus the whatever Zygons.
Okay, Zygons. Right. Let's use it. Let's use it. Yeah.
So now it is humans and the other.
Okay.
And we are all in a war. We got to band together. The country's got to come together. We got to pool our resources. We got to get all our nuclear weapons together. We got to, this is all out war with a whole other planet.
Right.
So now we're all banded together fighting another planet. And then eventually we figure it out.
And we win.
And we win.
Okay.
And we take over.
Combine.
We win, or we combine. We take over this other country or this other planet.
Right.
And now we go and travel there for vacations.
Mm-hmm.
But is there still
peacetime now?
Is there still aliens there?
Still aliens.
Okay, yeah.
So we go there and we travel for peacetime.
Okay.
What do you tell the Zygon when you're introducing yourself? Do you say, "Oh, I'm an Italian, American, Californian human," or do you say, "Oh, I'm a human from Earth"?
Oh, yeah, there you go. Okay.
There you go.
Oh, there you go.
And then once your
That's
son
good. That's
comes
good.
in and marries the Zygonian princess and becomes the mayor of the moon that houses both humans and Zygonians,
Yeah.
we've got a new seat at the UN.
I mean, yeah, that's funny.
And that's why I think, you know, we got to start just breaking down all of these, you know, labels and barriers and everything. It's just like we're all humans. Humans first, humanity first. That's it.
Yeah, but some bad humans though, man.
There's always
some bad people.
There's bad
people
humans.
take care of those.
There's
some
bad humans.
apples, man.
That's just, you know, that's the case. But it's
There's
every
some bad
society.
apples.
It's every group. It's everything. There's human nature, and that's it. And you know, we don't need to really, you know, I think we should appreciate and, really appreciate different cultures and accept them and you know, value that difference. But when it comes to, you know, we're all just humans doing our thing.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, you know, I agree, but I think there's just, I don't know, there's a lot of sensitivity in the world though. Well, in this country, there's a lot of sensitivity, a lot of crap, man. You got to be careful what you say. Don't say something that might offend. See, and I'm not like that. So I'm a pretty blunt person. I'm pretty open, and I don't care. Like, you know, it's unfortunate. Like, if you don't like what I say, I'm sorry, but
you like to say stuff just because it's
true. Sometimes
just
like,
because it's not okay to say
on
that.
Facebook, I'll do it. I'll share something just because I know that somebody out there is going to be like, it's going to ruin their day, and it's like you're just letting it ruining your day. But now people will share shit with me. Like I've had people, you know, share stuff with me, and I just completely disagree with it, and I'm like, whatever. Like I don't let it. And what's crazy is I think to myself, I think this person is sitting in their house like, oh, I'm gonna share this with him. He's gonna get so mad, and they share it with me, and I'm like, babe, we gotta go to Menards. Just gotta get those lights. Like it doesn't even it don't even bother me, but dude. People are way too sensitive. But for the most part, I say the things that how I feel.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, they're like, why would you say that? And it's like, but I shouldn't have to sit back and not say it if it's what, I mean, if I'm being mean, like if I'm just being mean to someone, then sure, it's like, maybe keep it to yourself, man. You don't got to be an asshole.
Yeah.
But if it's a view I have or something I believe,
there's a reason
like,
you have that opinion. There's a reason you have that viewpoint.
Yeah.
It's a valid viewpoint. If like you said, if you're not inflicting any harm on any other on anyone else, if your viewpoint isn't affecting your actions against other people,
right,
that's just your opinion, man.
Cool. Are you vegan or vegetarian?
Vegetarian.
Okay, so vegetarian is it you don't eat any?
I just don't eat any meat.
Okay, so you don't eat dairy, right? Or no?
I still eat dairy.
Okay, so you still eat dairy. Do you eat fish?
I do still eat.
Okay, so you
seafood.
fish. So
I just don't eat any beef, chicken, pork.
Well, what
don't eat any of that.
what one is like completely though? Like they don't eat.
Vegan is no animal products whatsoever.
So nothing. So like no. Okay, so I always get it mixed up. I always think it's vegan who still eats like a little bit of dairy or something, and then fish.
Vegan
so
is no
vegetarian.
products that come from animals whatsoever.
Okay, so it's vegetarian.
I mean, obviously there's variants there too. I'm sure there's less strict vegans.
How long you been doing
more
that?
Strict vegan.
How long you done that?
4 years.
4 years. Yeah. Is Sam that way too though?
I mean, we're not like super strict. Like we'll break it every once in a while when we're traveling or like at a holiday party or something. My thing for the reason I'm vegetarian is for the environmental impact that it has, because it's the biggest thing as an individual that you can do to reduce your carbon footprint and emissions is by not creating more demand for beef and for meat and for livestock, because those are super inefficient use of resources, and
you should watch
one of the biggest contributors to environmental impact and climate change.
Joe Rogan did a podcast with so there's I don't remember his name, but there's a guy who did like a documentary or something on Netflix.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And it's so because like I don't have an issue, you know what I mean? Like if someone's vegetarian, it's cool, you know what I mean? Like I like meat, it's just who, I love it. I would never give it up, you know what I mean? Like it's it's
like that documentary about the like vegan and athletes or something like that. Veganism and like strength and athletes.
Yeah, and when
I started watching it. Yeah.
If you when they did the podcast, because Rogan had another individual on the podcast who said that the stuff that this guy said that wasn't factual,
right?
And then Joe Rogan brought them both on.
I want to watch that. I didn't watch it, but I know what you're
and it brings up a lot. It talks a lot about kind of what you're saying, and nothing against vegetarians, but there's a lot of issues that being vegetarian causes, and I can't like speak on it because I'm not well versed in that area, and I can't remember. This was a couple weeks ago when I watched it, so I can't recall everything. So I don't want to open my mouth because I'm not going to do that.
Right.
But it's really interesting. You should watch it. Not like oh, you should go eat meat, but because there's a lot of vegetarians who are like, oh, everybody if you eat meat, you're just causing problems. It's not 100% the case with the big farms. So like I don't hunt, but I should. I think. There's these big farms, and I don't know who the hell they are, but there's a lot of these big farms that are not. I mean, they're just not like they're not. They're not good, or they're not doing it by. I don't know shit about that industry, but they're not doing it by like a lot of the stuff I buy. I try to get like. Yeah. I try to make sure it's like a organic in a way. You know what I'm saying?
Organic grass-fed beef. Yeah.
Yeah, I try.
Like
but
I just listened to a podcast. I was on my way here. I was listening to Bulletproof Radio, which is by Dave Asprey, and Dave Asprey has the whole bulletproof diet. And if you ever heard of bulletproof coffee or anything like that.
Yeah, well, I use MCT oil in our CBD. So
he's like the pioneer of a lot of that stuff. So and he coined the term biohacking, which is now like kind of starting to gain some more prevalence. But anyways, he eats meat, but he actually has he's at a point in his life. He's extremely wealthy, has these multiple companies, et cetera. So like he's able to live on this land where he has a farm, and he has sustainably raises a small amount of pigs or cows, etc. That he's controlling what he knows what they're getting fed. He knows how it's completely sustainable. Like the land is not very good land for agriculture, and raising livestock can actually, increase help the soil there.
Yeah.
So there's there's that, sure, yeah, of course, I have no problem. Or you're hunting an animal,
I know.
or etc. I'm not gonna have a problem eating that meat, because that's not contributing. Because what the issue is that you have 70% of the world's grain going to feed livestock in these giant factory farms, and you have the Amazon being completely leveled, millions of acres of forest just getting leveled to grow grain for that purpose. So you're leveling forests, you're using a crazy amount of water to feed, or to grow this livestock. So it's the water, the resources, the emissions, the deforestation. It's a super negative impact on that, from that point of view.
So I want to go hunt. I want to hunt, and I've never done it before, but because it's crazy to say it, but I'm like, oh God, if I shoot a deer, that poor deer. But I love venison. I love it. But
and I see you do follow Joe Rogan on Instagram at all?
Yeah.
I see him post those photos of elk and jalapenos. I'm like, damn, that looks good.
It does look good. So
elk that he hunted.
Yes, that he killed. Yeah. So I told Haley, I said, man, I need to go hunting. And my biggest thing for hunting is so because when you hunt an animal and you kill it, it's so much more valued. Not valued. So it sounds weird, but you actually respect that animal more,
right?
Because you understand what it's provided you with. You know what I mean? And in the
you respect its life,
right? Its life, even though you took it. But most of these animals, like elk, it sounds mean, but most of these animals, when you hunt them and you do, when it comes to like deer or elk or whatever, it's probably the best way that they're gonna die. Probably, especially elk. Being out the way they live, I mean, most of them are killed by wolves, and I mean, it's obviously a slow, nasty death. So you taking one shot quicker, and just, I mean, literally within a second, lights out, they're done. Yeah. That's it. But
unless you miss.
Yeah, well, yeah.
You just injure them, then they're just running around injured.
I mean, not Joe Rogan. I don't know, and he hunts with a bow, so I don't know how the hell he kills an elk with one shot with a bow. I don't get it. I don't understand.
That's crazy.
So man. and I've never been hunting, but I want to.
Badass though.
But I want to, because I would rather. I mean, I already told him. I said, man, if I had money, I would definitely grow my own shit and have my own animals that I because then not just for the reason of you just don't know what you're getting, man, especially with all these vegetables, everything. And if you don't buy, and it's hard to buy organic, it's expensive. You know what I mean?
Getting better as more and more people do it.
But it's getting cheaper, but it's still when you go to certain, it's expensive, but we always try to get
that's right now you vote with your money. The more you buy organic, the cheaper it's going to get.
Yeah, and I so when we had County Road J, we had a little garden out back, because it's, man, you go out and just pick a green pepper. That's healthy. That's some healthy shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. These big, and it's the same. It goes the same with cannabis. With CBD, people growing cannabis.
Yeah, you were living there.
Yeah, we lived there for 2 years, I think, before we moved to Florida. I miss
that house so much,
dude. So we came back, and I told Haley, I said I miss it so much, but I did not miss the internet, dude, because you couldn't get Charter out there. You couldn't get Spectrum, so the internet was 3 megabytes or some weird shit. It was bad. It was terrible.
But that house, man, I love that house.
No, it was great. When they brought the cows out there, it was fucked up. I used to go out there and feed them and shit, and give them water and shit. And they'd come right up and they'd just be like, I want, pet me. And I'm like, all right, that's cool, man. I'm fucking, that house was fun, man. Yeah. If it was fun, it was fun. Yeah. Because as soon as you
had a motorcycle, right?
I did for a little while. I
remember,
I had a couple.
I think it was almost shot you with a bow, an arrow, or a throwing knife.
Yeah, you did. You
were coming up on the driveway, and I was I shot a bow and arrow, or a throwing knife. I can't remember what.
I think you guys were drinking too, which wasn't good.
A haystack. This crazy stuff over there at the house, man.
Yeah. No, I do. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had a haystack, and it
was shooting my bow and arrow. And you came up in the motorcycle. And went through the bush and almost hit you.
Yeah. You guys used to do that house. I told her, I said I missed it just because I had a lot more room You know, it's like now I'm in an apartment and stuff, but
so you don't have any neighbors.
I know there wasn't any neighbors.
Like,
it was
you could just do whatever you want, and nobody's gonna bother you. Like it doesn't matter.
Hey, you could just go right out back and shoot the gun, even though there was a highway right there. It wasn't even an issue. I mean, I shot an AR with Dan a couple of times. Your dad came out and shot right behind the garage. Like, it was. Yeah. That was fun. It was, but the internet sucked. Like it was hard. It was hard for me to do anything because the internet was so slow.
You know what's gonna happen? Not next 4 or 5 years. We're gonna have internet everywhere on the planet.
How are you going to do that?
5G. No. Starlink is a company. Elon Musk is also, or not a company, but actually it's the product that Tesla is creating.
Okay.
This is launching thousands of satellites into low Earth orbit, and they're going to connect all to each other and provide internet to the entire world.
So how? Yeah, but
at a very, very low cost.
So how do you?
You just have an antenna piece of equipment that's basically like an antenna. Yeah, that's your router, but you can put it anywhere in the world.
Yeah, but that's hard. I mean, well, no, but they have to put an antenna on your house, though, right?
Yeah, you just put it anywhere.
No, right. Okay, right.
But like you just need the thing to connect to it, right?
Oh, so
you don't need to be anywhere. You can be anywhere in the world.
Okay, so
this piece, you could be on top of a mountain.
So they're gonna launch
in the middle of the ocean.
So they're gonna launch the satellites, and then what they're gonna do is say you pay $100 a month or whatever, $50 a month, whatever. They're gonna give you a little box, and then that box is gonna allow you to connect to those.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or like it's gonna be an internet provider, or just you buy the $200 antenna and then that's it. Now you're connected.
Okay.
Because there's more benefit for these, for really, big companies. There's more benefit for everyone having internet.
Yeah.
You can make more money when the whole world has access to the internet.
I pay $85 a month for internet from Charter.
No, it's not about the cost of charging people for internet. It's about what they're doing with that internet.
Well, Charter.
So it's the incentive. Like you make more if more people are connected. You give them free internet because you want them to use the internet to buy things.
So the government's going to allow, because if he did it, he would become a monopoly, in a way. Because if he does it and it only is like $200 and then you don't have to pay a monthly fee, then he would become a monopoly, which I don't know. I mean, if the government allows it, good for them. But like now Charter, well, Spectrum now, they were going to buy, at one point in time, they were going to buy Comcast. Mm-hmm. I think Time Warner actually bought Charter like last year or the year before, but the federal government said you can't buy Comcast because then you'd be a monopoly.
Yeah.
But that's what Elon Musk would be, though. That's what he would be if he did that. He would become a monopoly. So I mean, would the government allow him to do that? Because at that rate, I pay $85 a month. Technically, I almost pay $1,200 a year. I pay probably like $900 a year.
Yeah, but
to have internet. So if he said you only have to pay $500 and you get this box, but you never have to pay a monthly bill again, that would be. I mean, everyone would do it, but it would be a monopoly.
But someone has to do it first. Once they do it, then someone else can do it.
And I mean, it's not like you, if you're just. It's just access to the internet, right?
Well, yeah, but that's what. See, that's the thing, though. That's what Spectrum's offering. Just access. You're just getting access to the internet and phone. And they said, look, you can't buy, because if you buy Comcast, you would run almost the whole country.
Yeah,
just you.
Right.
And that's not fair because now nobody has an option other than you. So they were like, well, that's a monopoly. Now I get it. If Elon Musk does it, there is another option. But I mean, at his price.
I don't know what the specifics are, what it's actually going to look like. But the fact is that we have 3.5 billion people that are connected to the internet now. There's soon, at some point, we're going to have the ability for all 8 billion of us to connect to the internet.
If he does it and it's cheap,
that's going to be wild.
And I can get good internet, then hey, I'll jump on board. I mean, I don't know. I think his cars are crazy. Like I said, I wanted to buy. I mean, I still do kind of. Want to get a Model S with that like ludicrous add-on.
I just rode in a Tesla yesterday.
What is it about? They're like that's like $125,000 for that. Well, so
but still,
there was some. I watched this guy on Snapchat. I watched this guy James Charles, right? And I have him on Snapchat. I just watch his story. He's funny, right? So he like acts like a woman and shit, but he doesn't necessarily dress like a woman. Puts on makeup and shit, right? But I like him. Like I think he's funny as fuck, right? And I watch his videos. Right, but see, now I don't believe in certain things, but Like, I'm cool with that.
Heck yeah.
Well, he's got a Tesla, and he was in a parking lot, dude, and that motherfucker was going crazy. So, like, it was doing everything on its own. The mirrors were working in and out. It was doing all kinds of weird shit. And I said, it's a little freaky, though, man. Because if you're on the highway, dude, and this thing just fucking wants to do what it wants to do, like, it ain't no engine. I mean, it has, like, its engine for the batteries and shit like that, but it doesn't have no engine that takes gas. Like, that's a little bit freaky.
Yeah.
But I mean, I haven't heard of any other weird. He just showed a video of it, and I was like, that's freaky. But no, they're sweet, man, because it's instant torque. As soon as you step on that gas, it's just. What'd you ride in? The Model S or Model 3?
Model 3, yeah.
Those are nice too. I like the S's, man. The Model S's with that ludicrous add-on, 0 to 60 in like 2.2 seconds.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Elon.
Have you ever his other thing called Neuralink?
No.
Have you ever heard of Neuralink?
No, I've never heard of it. I don't follow him super close,
man.
So I don't know.
That's gonna be the brain computer interface
for what? For the cars or for what?
Imagine you had I don't know what it's gonna be like. I honestly don't know what it's gonna be like. It's hard to even imagine what it would.
I don't understand. What does it do?
Where
can I blow shit up with my mind? Oh, I don't like that. I don't like it because you gotta have a chip.
You are connected. You able to get information and communicate information with just your brain.
Can I take the chip out?
Yeah.
So I can put it in when I want to and take it out when I want to.
Right. It'd be connected to like a wearable device, the very, very small device. But the idea is that because the big issue is with AI, with getting better and better, and eventually we're gonna not have any understanding or control of it, and it's going to be surpassing human intelligence to the point where we don't fully understand how it's working anymore. At some point, it's going to be super intelligence. In order to keep up with AI, we'll have to be able to interface with computers and be almost connected, combining it where it's a part of us, essentially.
Can I blow shit up?
Yeah, dude.
Listen,
you can
man,
blow shit up with your mind.
All I give a shit about is if I can shoot rockets with my hands. Okay.
You want to be a cyborg?
And if I can do a super jump like you can on Grand Theft Auto with the cheat and blow shit up with my mind.
There you go. Well, you could enter in a virtual universe where you could.
That's weird. But I mean,
imagine if you had a smartphone. If you had a smartphone in your mind, like you could open up a screen in your and just by thinking about it, you opened up Facebook you're just thinking about it. Like right now I'm on Facebook. I'm scrolling through Facebook feeds.
I don't know. Imagine those screens that Tony Stark has in your eyelids.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Just in your brain.
I mean, look,
but
I already
one thing that is very incredibly powerful about that though is that brain computer information is because we are so limited with our input into a computer. We only have our fingers or a voice, where we can input and change stuff on a virtual interface.
I mean,
if we have our brains and we can actually change and contribute.
It's weird. That's interesting.
A virtual space with nothing but our thoughts. It's going to be.
I mean, women definitely shouldn't have it for sure. That's probably a bad idea.
They should definitely have it. They would organize everything. Can you imagine a world?
Have you been around a woman when they're on that time? Of Jesus, you give them that time of the month, dude. You're fucked if they got that thing. You're done, dude. You ain't hiding shit. You better be a good boy.
No, at that point you don't hide anything.
Listen, man.
But that brings out the character again. It just brings up the accountability.
Man, I already live in a house with AI. It's called Haley, and I don't need shit. She's like a fucking robot. She just looks at me and she's like, I know what's up. And I'm like, And she's like, yeah. She's like, this is what you want. I'm like, that's exactly what I wanted.
But
I don't know.
Our significant other molds to us, you know what I mean? Just like your girlfriend, just like your girlfriend, just like my girlfriend. They understand us to a level that they can completely
not like Haley.
Control us.
Haley's she's scary. And then she has that time of the month, and then she's like, I know what's up, dude. I'm gonna fuck you up. No. So you are you married, or are you just just like engaged?
I'm in a committed relationship.
Okay.
Me and my girlfriend have been together for almost 4 years. On January 2nd, it's gonna be 4 years.
So you're in Vegas?
Yep, we just moved to Vegas.
And
a year ago.
And you like it?
Love it.
You're into it.
Love it.
How's the weather? Is it decent in the winter? Get a little chilly at night?
Check it out. From my backyard, I could look off into the distance and see the mountains in the distance.
Oh, that's
with
nice.
Snow on it.
Yeah, that's nice.
But only in the distance.
That's the fight capital. I'm a huge UFC fan, so it's a fight capital. You know what I mean? That's my shit. That'd be awesome.
No snow, though. Very little snow. Last year, we saw some snow, and it was like, wow, this is the first time it snowed in Vegas in like some crazy amount of years. And I was like, I came from Wisconsin. This is great.
Yeah, right. Right, when we lived in Florida, there was nothing. Like, these motherfuckers, it was like 65 degrees in the winter. And these motherfuckers are wearing coats, like winter coats. Right. And I'm like trying to swim in the ocean. And everybody's like, yo, dude, the water's way too cold. And I'm like, oh, fuck, dude, I'm swimming 30-degree water. Are you kidding me? Like, let's do this. Oh, yeah, you go to the beach, like, in the winter, there's, like, not many people there.
Oh, yeah.
There's not. It's crazy. Florida was nuts, though. Florida's not a good place. I mean, to visit, cool,
Have
live.
you been to Miami Beach?
No, we didn't go to Miami Beach, but we lived about, I want to say 15 minutes away from like St. Pete Beach.
Oh, nice.
We lived in like right in St. Petersburg, so we didn't live too far from the ocean. It took a little while longer to get there because the traffic and stuff is pretty busy, but it was crazy. The people that live there, that's like a different country. Florida is a different country. It's not, when you go there, you're just like, that motherfucker ain't American. Like not like this color of his skin, but like just how different everybody is in Florida. Whether they're white, African, it doesn't matter. Just how different. Because they were born different. Like Florida itself. When you go there, you're like, this dude ain't even from this earth.
Whoa.
There's a whole you're just observing people. You're like, what the fuck is he doing? And is that he can't? How's he doing that?
Well, imagine that little coastal city. Anybody who could like just kind of touch America could touch right around Florida.
Dude, Florida's different. And I'm not even talking about culture. I'm just, dude, the people that were born and raised there, I'm telling you, you just go there and you're looking at him and you're like, is he walking? He's not. He's walking. His legs ain't even on the ground. How's he doing that? How's this motherfucker? Is this? And then
you're on a hoverboard?
You're like looking around. You're like trying to, and everybody's just looking at you and they're like, it's Florida, dude. It's
Florida.
No, it was crazy. Well, Florida was crazy.
It won't even be a place to live soon, man.
Florida?
True.
Yeah, well, Florida's just crazy.
It's pretty low elevation.
I mean, we got
it's gonna be underwater, man.
We left when Hurricane Irma hit. We left earlier before they evacuated us, but it went like right over our house, like where we lived. Wow. So we were originally moving to Nashville after our year lease was up. But at 9 months, that was coming through, and we saw that it shifted. And I said, "Look, we got animals, and I don't want to be here down here for it and stuff." So we left because a lot of times when the hurricanes hit, you lose power for 6 days. Well, it's 115 degrees, 110 degrees down there with humidity. You know what I mean? So animals die. They're bringing in semi trucks full of ice and shit to try to keep you cool. So it's rough. So I was like, "Well, let's get the fuck out of here." But man, in that 9 months we were there, whew. I just have never in my life experienced the kind of people that live in Florida, and not necessarily in a great way, but not in a bad. It was like I was living in a different country. It was like I wasn't in America. I mean, it was absolutely. It was so crazy. You're just driving down the road and there's just dead animals and shit. And you're like, what the fuck? There's dead dogs and shit just laying around. You call the cops like, we'll get to it when we can.
Yeah. There's a lot of people living in Florida.
It was just, it's just, and then the people, they're just different, man. People are like, oh, it can't be. And it's like, just go live there, man. Just spend like 5 months. You got to have like at least 5 months there. And you'll come back and you'll be like, I can't, it's weird. It's a fucking different thing, man. It's kind of like California. Like I haven't been there recently, but we lived in San Diego for a little bit. Me and Haley did back in 2009. And it was beautiful then though. So it was really nice then. There was still a lot of homeless though, but it was really nice. But you go there and you're like, this is different. Like these people, this is not, it's like Hawaii in a way. So Hawaii technically, I mean, I'm glad it has like US backs it, but really it's its own country. It really is. Like if you I haven't been there, but like you go, it's not like the mainland. Right. It's not, you know what I mean? Like you're like, but Florida's different, not necessarily in a great way. but not necessarily in a. It's weird, man.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not like when you go to Florida or like go to fucking Hawaii and you're like, dude, this culture's fucking crazy. It's awesome. You know, Samoa, it's like really cool. You go to Florida and you're like, this is weird.
Well, you're from Wisconsin though, right?
Yeah, and again,
I think Wisconsin is way weird.
oh, Wisconsin's real.
But I'm from California.
I mean,
everywhere is weird.
if you don't
from
right
where you're from.
From where you're from.
it's interesting. We were down there for 9 months, and at first, like the first 3 or 4 months, it was like, oh, it's like a vacation, and then all of a sudden, like as months went on, I'm like, this is getting weirder, dude. Like some guy just come to our house and knocked on our door at like 1 a.m, and I come out and he's like, you know your porch light's out. And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, oh, I'll go run home. I got a light. I'm like, what the fuck, dude?
That's a nice guy. That's a nice guy.
It's a nice guy
in the morning.
or it's a weird guy that's like, I'm gonna replace his light and then I'm gonna rape him. Okay, like,
Is that how that goes? Hey, let me replace your light. By the way, can you just?
I mean, it was just weird. But no, I mean, it is like that. Like if you go to New York, you know, like we just went and stayed in Chicago.
So imagine. You can get back to your story, but imagine like if the whole country were like that, or if the whole world were like that, where you go to somewhere, it's just like another state. It's
weird.
Every country is just like another state, and we're all under one, united countries of
Respect.
the entire world.
United countries.
We're all under the nation of the human nation.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's weird. It's weird.
And then we just have states that we can go to. There's no borders.
It's just weird when being in the United States and you go to another state within the country that in the United States, and it's just different, man. Like like I said, we went to Chicago, and that's different too. Oh yeah, it's just a whole different thing down there, man. We stayed at it's a nice hotel right off of Michigan Avenue. We have valet park our car, and we have a 2019 Honda Civic, right?
There you go.
It's like $30,000.
Nice car.
Right. Well. So I go in, valet gets the keys. I'm like, be careful with it. This dude looked at me. This guy, the way he looked at me was like, wow, really? Like really? Like it's a Honda, bro. Like it's a Honda Civic, bro. Yeah, like the look it was just like,
what?
Yeah, that's right. He was like, you like joke, right? You're kidding, right? Because I was like, be careful, like don't scratch my shit. And he's just like, dude, it was a nice hotel, and she booked it like months prior, so she got a good deal. When people like weren't traveling,
sure.
But like what I mean, there's like Bentley, there's all kinds of nice ass cars. These people are like valet,
exactly.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, I pull up in a Honda, and I'm like, be careful. And he's like, yeah, bro. Okay, be careful with your Honda Civic. Yeah, but it's weird, man. It's weird. It's weird. It's like a different country. It's like a whole different thing. I'm not a fan. I like Chicago. It's fun, but it's just too many people.
Respect.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Have you been to Vegas?
So when we lived in California, we drove back. We came through Henderson and stuff. But no, I've never been I've never spent like more than a day or whatever in Nevada or in Vegas itself. So like I've been to a lot of different states, but Vegas is one of those that just keeps on eluding me.
It's so wonderful. I've been to Chicago. I've been to LA. I mean, I've traveled the whole country. Like my parents are Marines, so my first 8 years I was basically luggage.
Yeah.
Las Vegas's money came to the desert. Everything's spread out because people don't like people. They want to be left alone. So everything's like super spread out. But then there's obviously the strip where like everything's happening. But then the more it spreads out, the more money just comes in.
Do you got good internet down there?
It's crazy. Everybody has their own internet.
They have good internet.
Some people have like great internet. Some people have like not internet. But
I mean, you got Spectrum down there?
I just do straight talk. I mean,
what
I don't know.
No, like for your computer, for your internet, like your surfing.
My landlord handles that. I have no clue.
Your landlord gives you internet?
Yeah, he pays for all utilities and everything. I rent the master bedroom. It's $650.
Oh, so you rent a bedroom?
Yep. So the guy who owns the house, Henry Matus, he's the singer of a band who performs at the Fiesta.
Sure.
He owns the house. He gave us the master bedroom for $650. We don't pay any of the light, the electric, the water, none of that.
No utilities, no internet, no nothing.
Nope. And then we have 2 roommates who live upstairs.
Oh, okay.
Really nice old lady. She's like 60 years old, super nice. And then a nice gentleman who's like, I don't know, middle age, something like that.
Okay.
And then me and my girlfriend get the master bedroom.
What do you pay for that?
$650.
Oh, so you pay $650.
But it's like a $330,000.
Yeah,
house.
it's like a really nice house, man.
So gorgeous. My backyard is literally like the river that runs off of Lake Las Vegas.
So you just get run of the house and shit. You know what I mean? That's cool, man. That's cool.
If you're good to your roommates, because people ask me all the time, they're like, "How can you live with roommates?" And I'm like, when you don't expect a lot, and you take care of yourself, and you don't create problems.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
It's so easy to live with anybody.
Yeah.
But if you're real rigid with what you want, you expect people to do what you want, and you get real aggressive when things aren't the way that you want it to be. It's hard.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool, man. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not a winter fan, so I mean, we'll end up moving. But Haley wants, I don't know, I think she wants to buy a house here and spend. We've just been around a lot, so I think she wants to settle down at one place for at least 5 or 6 years, or maybe more. So this is where I'll probably be for a while. So
I want to own a property in Milwaukee for sure, but just as like a base. I mean, you can own a property and live there, but then
if I could just
travel for a year,
if I could go for the winter, like if I could just go for the winter, I'm cool. You know what I mean? Even 3 months, like if I could just go for like December, January, February.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Well, I would stay here long enough for her to spend time with your families for Christmas, and then kind of leave after that and come back maybe like early March or middle of March.
January,
or whatever.
February are the worst.
Yeah, always the worst. So it's like if I could do that, like I'm cool, man. But yeah, I think she wants to buy a house here, and I mean, whatever, it is what it is. So I think next year she, probably try buy. And Janesville, I mean, Janesville's calm. You know what I mean? It is calm. It's not. Yeah. I mean, it's
safe. It's calm.
It is. Yeah. I mean, it's not. You know what I mean? It's not like. It's just a little town. 60,000, 65,000, whatever. Yeah. So it's just a small little town. But yeah, I think she wants to get a house and whatever. I don't know. But if we get a house, the whole basement is the studio. So I'm gonna
go.
Yeah, I'm gonna tear the walls down and I'm gonna put soundproofing in between the walls and put the walls back up. And then she's gonna do like murals around the whole thing.
Nice.
Because like she painted that.
Yeah.
And then I got there's like 3 more that's got to go in here. But
nice.
Yeah. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. This was great, man.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's always fun, man. It's always fun.
Heck yeah.
It's always enjoyable.
Oh.
Yeah, and you can go forever.
Yeah.
2 hours and 35 minutes.
2 hours 35.
Yeah, it's
minutes,
easy.
Man.
It's super easy.
It is so we just flew by.
Yeah, it's super easy. And I didn't do anything, but yeah, the TV was originally in here so I can look shit up. So I don't say shit, and people are like, this dude does not know what the fuck he's talking about. So I can like look it up. I'm like, okay, yeah. I can't play.
Perfect. We got Google. It's like the guy who's behind the scenes in Joe Rogan.
I wish I had a Jamie. His name is Jamie. That'd be great. Jamie, Jamie, look it up.
Yeah. You need a Jamie.
Yeah. With my I do another podcast with a guy. It's called Two Kids in a Podcast, but it's more of just like we're just shitting around. Like it's not.
Yeah.
We don't really. He doesn't like talking like politics and stuff like that, so we don't really get into none of that. But sometimes I'm like, Jamie, look it up.
There you go.
And then all of a sudden I'm like, and then nothing happens. Because there's no Jamie. And this is in a bedroom in an apartment. So
work in progress.
Yeah. No, it's whatever. It's cool. Like when we first started, the guy that I do the podcast with, he used to say, "Well, we're in the studio," and I'm like, "It's cool, man. It's cool. We're in a bedroom, bro. In my apartment. It's all good.
You're in.
It's all about how you talk about it, man.
Yeah.
Here in Green Studios.
Right. Yeah. Coming back live. Yeah. No.
And we're back.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fun, man. I love just fucking. It's fun. Like I said, I don't make money on it or anything. It's just something enjoyable to do.
Right.
You know.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's fun.
Good
All right, man. That's fun. Well, I suppose.
Yeah.
We'd probably call it a
good 2.5 hour conversation.
Wrap this motherfucker up.
Respect, fellas.
Yeah. Daon, Sam.
Yes, sir.
All right. It's been fun, guys.
Yeah.
All right. Later. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the podcast. Please be sure to like and follow us on all of our social medias. We really appreciate it. Thank you, and hope you all enjoyed.